What's going on, everybody? Welcome another episode of Heavy Metallurgy, number 130. We're just plugging right along here as the hours and weeks and days are sailing by us on this wonderful year. Alan, how are you today?
I'm tired. It's been a very long, busy day. Nothing bad, just a ton of work. I may have sat still for like 14 minutes total since I got up at 6 a.m. this morning. So I'm in this chair and I ain't getting out of it for a while. If I
Right
can help
on.
it. But yeah,
And,
hello to everybody in the chat showing up. Good to see you folks. Hope everyone's had a good week. Melanie, I'm not talking to you because you didn't pick me for your island, buddy. So nope. Just if your comments disappear from the chat tonight, you brought that on yourself. Just saying.
I just want to publicly thank you, Alan, for covering my ass the last couple weeks with all the extra stuff you've been doing to make sure this channel continues to run smoothly, even though I've been either in bed or asleep in a chair coughing on myself. So
no, it's all good. I'm glad I could help out. Glad to do. I've had a lot of fun getting some extra reviews done and getting to hang out with the album club folks Wednesday night.
Yeah,
it's all good, and I'm glad you're feeling a little better. You haven't coughed in several minutes, so that's an improvement.
it's an improvement. I'm on the backside of the big C vid. So anybody and everybody out there, it's going around again. You're not going to die, but you're going to feel like crap for a while. So get ready for that. But anyway,
yes. Oh, let me do clarify in case anybody didn't know what I was talking about with Melanie. She was doing a Q&A video today. She's been doing them lately. They're really fun. But yes, somebody put her on the spot about who to share a desert island with, and one of the people on your screen right now was chosen, and the other one, me, wasn't. So
I was chosen.
Yes.
I don't know what did I? Woo!
You'll have to go watch Melanie Loves Death Metal to find out what you were chosen for. Just so you know, though, Simon and I have it out for you. So watch your back.
I look great in a Speedo. If you're drunk and half blind.
You brought that on yourself, Melanie.
Yeah. Totally. Anyway, I'll have to watch that. Anyway. Yeah, we're here. Halloween's Tuesday, and we have an awesome guest, friend of the show, awesome dude. Let's get him on here. He's no stranger to the heavy metallurgy. Darcy from Darcy 6 Strings, 9 Lives. Welcome back, brother. It's good to see you. It's been a while.
How's it going, guys?
Not great. Not bad. How are you doing, man?
Yeah, thanks for having me back. I always appreciate that, and always really look forward to this. So I know you wanted me on a little earlier than this, but sometimes those schedules just don't line up. But I always love when things do line up and I get to come back. So look at this guy. Oh, there he is. Good old Canadian dude there.
Everybody go check out Phil's channel, please. I know we talk about it over and over and over. We're getting him on here one of these days. He all of a sudden, now that he's like a big shot, he's like shy and stuff. So I don't know. He's avoiding us, I think, but we're going to get you back on here, Phil, soon. So pick a day, damn it. Anyway,
the calendar is filling up for the next couple of months. We've got a lot of guests sort of lined up for the holiday season, getting folks on the calendar early. So yep. If you're not careful, it'll be 2024 before you're back on Chromie.
First 2 weeks of November are clear. First 2 weeks of December are clear. So let me know, Phil.
We're working on it.
Well, I think I always start these off with saying I just, my hat's off to you guys. I mean, you do a killer job, and just the dedication. Thanks. And yeah, it's no easy feat to put this on every week. And and even with you down, Marty, this week, Alan steps up and comes through. But always a joy to look forward to Fridays, and then your album club. And you got a lot of great guests doing reviews, and you might have to even put me on that list for something that you think is up my alley. I will definitely try my best. But
now that I know you're interested, it's good to know. It's good to know. For sure.
But yeah, and great video this week, Alan. I absolutely loved your accept video. That was a Tuesday morning, 3 cups of coffee, and 44 minutes later, it was awesome. Great job there.
Oh, thank you.
I have not watched it yet. This week, seriously, I was like Sunday in bed, coughing my brains out, and I watched the Metal Mythos. Razor Fist did that his whole thing on this Accept. So
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, my Alan just did it too. So I'm gonna have to get my double shot. I haven't got into the double shot of Accept yet. So
That's all good. And yes, Darcy, your video today, lots of fun too. I like the series you're working on with the six. I'm sorry, I'm going to mangle the name of it, but the 6 picks.
6 with 6 strings. It's just random
strings.
shit. I mean, I just, like I said, I can't come up here and keep holding up brand new stuff. That ain't gonna happen. I will be living in a van down by the river if that happens. So you
have to make a little like a igloo out of the records themselves to live in.
And you know what? It's just always fun to get people talking and they tell you what they like or what they don't like. And yeah, it's just like what we're going to do tonight. So what are we doing tonight? What do we got?
Well,
what's our spectrum here?
As Marty said, it is almost Halloween, which is kind of snuck up on me. I've not had a whole lot of time to do Halloweeny things this month, but yeah, we thought it'd be fun just to kind of open the crypt gates and just show records, bands, songs, albums, anything that features some classic Halloween monsters, or just has that good spooky kind of vibe, since it is the season. And it's coming up in just a few more days that we'll all be out trick-or-treating or turning the garden hose on kids trying to toilet paper our yards.
Well, I'm just going to say it right now. I guess I only half understood the mission statement. So I don't have I have some monsters and stuff here, but mostly just songs, I guess, that deal with Halloween, or albums that give me the Halloween vibe. So that was kind of my, and I struggled greatly picking for this week. Just, I don't know why. I thought, this is going to be easy. Well, nah, it wasn't easy for me. Anyway, how did you do with this, Darcy?
I think I did okay. I got some scary album covers, or what I consider scary. Got some, like Alan and I talked about earlier. We got zombies, monsters, werewolves, vampires, all shit like that. So hopefully we can kind of pummel our way through this, and
it'll be fine.
Oh,
it'll be fine.
We'll be
Absolutely.
okay.
It'll be a bag full of tricks and or treats as we go through the lists tonight, for sure.
All right. Well, let's get this Halloween party started. Darcy, what you got? Let's get us rolling here.
Well, and we can show this artist multiple times. I hope we can anyways, because he is one of my all-time favorites, but I'm going to pick on something a little less famous, whatever you want to say. But I'm going to go with King Diamond, The Spider's Lullaby.
Mm-hmm.
And I am going to go with the song The Poltergeist, which
it's a good song.
If you guys have, if people out there have not heard this album, where am I going to hold this? Right here. So generally, a King Diamond album is generally fully concept. This one is not. This is the first 5 tracks are standalones, and they're awesome tracks. And The Poltergeist is actually one of my very favorite tracks from this album. I won't name any more because I got a video coming up where I kind of name all my favorite tracks from King Diamond's discography, kind of in anticipation of a new album, maybe before I'm in the old folks home. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, so this album is kind of part of a run where King Diamond came back first with Merciful Fate, and they did In the Shadows in 93. 94, they did an album called Time, which may make an appearance here yet tonight.
It may. It just might.
And then 95, Spider's Lullaby came out, and this is a fantastic album. So I guess those of you that kind of cut it off at the eye and said, I'm only a first 5 King Diamond album type of guy, I suggest you go check this out. This is underrated. A little bit thin on the production, but they've done a remaster of this. Andy LaRocque was involved, and it is far superior than this one.
Huh.
But, yeah, go check out the track, The Poltergeist. Perfect for Halloween. You got Spider on the cover there too. So that's my first one.
That's a good one.
That's a good pick.
People were so excited when that came out because there'd obviously been kind of a break for several years between King Diamond albums, and it came out. It got a decent reception at the time, but yeah, it kind of very quickly just kind of faded off. King Diamond put out so much stuff after that for several years. I feel like it maybe got lost in the mix a little bit.
Some of it isn't great. I mean, I like the Graveyard, but it took me a minute to like the Graveyard. But Voodoo, I still don't love. House of God is a crap record. I'm sorry. I don't like that. That record is bad. Puppet Master's okay. The Give Me Your Soul Please album is tired and just deflated, man. He's like, it just seems out of juice,
Well, there was a gap there where he was literally putting out a King Diamond and a Merciful Fate album for like 2 or 3 years straight, 96, 97, 98 type of thing. So anyways, who's up? Alan?
Yeah, one of those years he did one album for both, I think.
Yeah,
and the Merciful Fate stuff was through time was a fantastic record. And what came after it? Into the Unknown.
Yeah.
And then 9. Into the Unknown, it's got some cool riffs, but it's not great. It's okay. I don't know. Doing both bands, it's too much. You're dipping from the same well, I mean, there's not much of a difference between the two bands.
Yeah.
Not enough to, make them feel distinct when you're doing them side by side.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, sir. What you got?
All right. Well, I'm going to start with a Halloween classic album cover for sure. If you're thinking goofy trick-or-treating fun, you got to go with Fates Warning's original cover, Tonight on Brocken.
Good pick. Good pick.
Yeah.
An album cover so bad they redid it 3 times.
Yes. This is the first pressing. This was what Metal Blade decided they were going to put on an album to help break this band with the very first pressing of their debut album. Maybe it's not a surprise that Fates Warning always had a little trouble getting over the hump. But yes, this one's just got all kinds of weird stuff going on. You got some funny perspective here. I don't know if these are supposed to be wolves or cats or what. You got, I guess the perspective is supposed to be that they're up on top of a higher rock and these people are like on a lower level, but it really just looks like there's a bunch of torsos stuck to the ground. The witch is looking one way and kind of turn the other. It's everything about the perspective and the posture here. I don't know what this person's up to. It's just like, are they out there like, ladies and gentlemen, maybe they're the ring announcer. I don't get it. But it's a fantastically bad album cover. Legend has it that the band literally took the original artwork and ceremoniously just like burned it in the parking lot at some point. It got replaced by another kind of Halloween themed cover on the second pressing, which some people will argue is possibly worse. I don't think it's worse, but saying that it's better would be a stretch too. But this one has the best representation of the classic Halloween witch, and so the first pressing got the nod tonight. It's if anyone's never checked out the first album, maybe because the cover sucks so much. The music certainly isn't bad. It's a lot more straightforward than what Fates Warning would start doing, even by album number 2. It's got a good sort of Iron Maiden gallopy feel to it, with, of course, John Arch's very distinct vocals. Some very good songs on it.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't have, the same nuance and complexity that Spectre Within and Awaken the Guardian would want. If those albums are a little over the top for you, you might actually enjoy Night on Brocken. It's a little bit like the first Rush album compared to the rest of the Rush albums. There's nothing wrong with the first one. It's just a little more workmanlike than what they did later on. Same is true here for Night on Brocken.
I have to follow this up and just say that this album cover never bothered me. It's the album. I associate it with this album, and it is also the first visual evidence of yoga pants. And obviously this fine lady here just got paid and she's on her way to Target. If you look down here, there's a Target next to the church, because that's where all yoga pants go to congregate in the wild, is target. I don't know if anybody else, guys, have maybe noticed, but I have, and it's a good place. It's the mecca of yoga pants. But I also picked it because, you know, it's got the Halloween vibe. You know, the Salem witch trials. You got the what I'm assuming is the Inquisitor there, and of course you got followed it up with Juice Newton on fire. It looks like Juice Newton to me. That's anybody that's younger than me probably doesn't know who the hell Juice Newton is, but there she is. She's on fire, and yeah. And then of course the third one they did the full moon, which is even more pointless.
It's boring, but it's better than the first two, and that's saying something. Yeah. The who is the character on the first one? You're right. It could be the Inquisitor type because it looks like they're trying to burn the other person.
Yeah.
But the Inquisitor is dressed exactly like a witch. It looks.
Well, he's got the pilgrim. So he's got the pilgrim hat on, and
it looks suspiciously like a witch's hat at the same time. If the point is just folded down a little bit,
he's looking away from the yoga pants because he's a man of God and he doesn't want to be tempted by the
completely ill-proportioned yoga pants whose perspective is all wrong. And well, then what's the thing at his feet? Is it? I was thinking.
Well, that's what she's going to light on fire.
Familiar.
She's going to be lit on fire.
Yeah, but what's the little dog, wolf, cat? I thought it was like a cat, and maybe that was the familiar, but the cat just seems to be chilling.
I think the dog is there waiting to see. You know, he heard there was a barbecue about to happen, and maybe he's gonna have a little piece of some barbecue witch. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know about this whole stabbing rock midgets going on here. I don't know.
The more we look at it, it raises more questions than answers, which it really shouldn't.
Yeah, there's a lot going on that cover, isn't there?
Yeah.
The next semester, art history 3130, dissecting the various versions of Night on Brocken.
Yep. I'll always love this cover just because the first, documentation of leggings. It's great. All hail. Anyway,
it was the 80s. Leg warmers were a thing, so maybe the
leg warmers are one thing. Leggings are a whole revolutionary another piece of clothing technology.
But I'm just saying that they were kind of they were already moving on to the next step in the leg warmer evolution here.
All right, that was going to be my first one, but I'm going to step in with my follow-up to that, and let's talk about a red bulbous devil baby. Nothing
very nice.
Says Halloween like a swollen, bloated red devil baby, and some would say,
still the creepiest cover in my collection. I still find it creepy.
Yep, it's creepy, and I like the color scheme. How it's the purple and gold with the super red bulbous baby, and this album for me as a grower, I know TJ's in here watching, and this is a favorite of his, and it is great. It's totally unique. It still sounds like Sabbath, just really weird. It's just weird, drugged out Sabbath, and heavy as hell, trashed. Zero the Hero, of course. Cannibal Corpse covered that one. Disturbing the Priest. What a classic.
The Priest, yeah, great song.
It's a great album, really is. Really weird, mushy production, but it's a great record. Absolutely.
Yeah. No, I got that one. Even when I did my Black Sabbath ranking, I got it up there, and there are some people that absolutely hate that album, and then it's got a shitload of fans too.
Here's some person who likes it. I don't know who this is. Must be like a new viewer or something.
Oh, is that that girl from the island? Without you?
Not on my island, apparently. No.
Melanie, if we're gonna be on the same island together, we're gonna have to have a talk about all the Knuckle Dragon death metal, because I need a little variety. So I'll be sure to bring the power metal and stuff to the island, and you bring the death metal, and we'll have a great time. We'll just have
Simon's not in the chat yet, but he is laughing hysterically somewhere in the southern hemisphere.
Actually, you know what? I think Melanie's more concerned about you floating around in a banana hammock, and that
speak his name and he shall appear.
Where's the boat? I'm out of here, man.
He's like Beetlejuice. Did you say Simon 3 times fast? And there he is.
Explosive action.
Right on. Okay.
Simon and I are stuck on 2 other nearby islands with no company.
With sad banana hammocks. All right. Okay, Darcy.
Okay. this one's not really a song in particular. It's an album cover that always reminds me. Actually, it's a band that reminds me of Halloween, but better than Raw.
God, you bastards. I'm going to be out of bullets here in an hour, just so you know. I'll be here just for the
Darcy beat you to the pumpkin patch.
Well,
Wow.
hey, you hold yours. Yours is better than mine. Look
Mine's
at that
bigger.
line.
Mine's
That
bigger is what you're saying.
We need.
This
I
is
need
cold.
to. I
It's
need to make
cold
a
in
trade
Darcy's
with
room.
Ron, But
Darcy's
yeah,
room's got a chill to it.
so what a great album. It's actually one of my very favorite of the Andy Darcy era. There are so many good songs on this album.
Oh, there is.
And I love the cover. I think that the cover always reminds me of this time of year. It's one of those October albums for sure, along with The King and some Merciful Fate. But yeah, Push, Hey Lord, great song. Don't Spit on My Mind, another great track. So yeah, I absolutely love that album. And
Revelations, what a ripping ass song.
Revelations and even Falling Higher, great track too.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But yeah, always reminds me of Halloween. So there's my second pick. Sorry, Marty.
That's all right. You can't go wrong with the Darcy stuff. It's all great. But that's a really good record.
Yeah.
All right. Ellen.
All right. If we're doing bands that are into the spooky side of heavy music, one that immediately pops to mind for me is this crazy group of underground Italians, Death SS. This band goes way back into the 70s. They did kind of a horror theater shock rock whole get up where each member took on one of the classic movie monster personas. So you've got Wolfman, Mummy, Skeleton, Vampire, and Zombie. And I just do want to point this out, to all these bands running around these days who think it's really edgy and clever to wear a mask and a cloak and, ooh, that's your gimmick. Check this shit out, son. These guys, full thing. You know how long it takes to, wrap yourself in that much toilet paper and then have to get on stage and play a stringed instrument?
And try not to
That's
get wet.
dedication.
Yeah.
That's dedication. Don't tell me, that you're hardcore because you wore a big black cloak and put a clock on your head that was, made out of, styrofoam. This right here, these guys were into it big time. Music, it's got that kind of, very typical creepy Italian doominess to it. This was the band that started that whole scene. Paul Chain, of course, is one of the original members here. He's not on this album. This is a later one. But yeah, so everything from Paul Chain to Black Hole to Requiem, all those bands got their inspiration from this bunch. This band went through some different changes over time. There wasn't a lot of original material done by them in the late 70s and early 80s. It's another one of those bands that had to come back a few years later and reinvent themselves a little bit. And some of the later stuff, wanders into some strange musical territory. Maybe not quite for me. But yeah, always kind of an interesting band to check out, and had a huge influence on a lot of the odd, spooky, crazy Italian 80s metal scene. So yep, got to shout out all the Halloween monsters all at once right there in the same band together.
All right.
Death SS.
Cool pick.
Interesting band.
All right. Well, this is one of those times where you try to do your due diligence. And anyway, Black Beast, Arctic Darkness. You got yourself a little werewolf on the cover there. Oh, Halloweeny. You got these forlorn Finnish dudes in a snowstorm somewhere, corpse painted up. Got this. I looked it up. Satan song, that says they're about Satan and hatred and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, cool. Safe. Wow, cool. So you start looking at who's in the band. One of the guys is in an NS band. So I'm like, great. Anyway, Black Beast. It's really solid, excellent Finnish black metal. I picked this because of the werewolf. And yep. Came here for the black metal, found out that there were doofuses in the band. So
oops.
What are you going to do? They're out there. They're everywhere. You just got to keep your eye on them. Keep your eye on the prize. There you go.
Yep. Wilson, Mortuary Drape has a new album coming out very soon. I think by the end of the year. I remember seeing it on one of the promo lists. So yeah, Mortuary Drapes fans, don't miss that one.
Yep. All right, Darcy, you're up.
So I was thinking back in the day when I was a kid, we used to go and buy our costumes. We go to this, I don't know if you guys had Woolco. We had a place called Woolco here in Canada, and we go, or the Bay, Hudson Bay Companies. I don't know if you have that, but we go buy those, superhero little things that you do up in the back with a plastic mask. Now, the one I was looking for looks exactly like this album cover, but I never found it until I saw this album. So if I would have found this back in the day, I would have first shit my pants, but I would have loved this album, because this is the mask I always wanted. But there's one there. So this is more on my pick of just freaky scary covers. This is just demented, but hey, it's a great album. I enjoy it. But yeah, wouldn't you like to be running around the neighborhood picking up some candy with that on your face?
That would be an awesome Halloween mask, and because that one is really kind of creepy and disturbing in the best possible way.
Yeah, it's all about the cover on this one. There's no song to line up with this one, but yeah, Released from Agony by Destruction. There's my next choice.
Check the album club for a nice dissection of that record too. Links in the album club playlist for sure.
Yeah.
Alan.
All right, so Marty showed a werewolf. That's not a bad werewolf, but we're gonna go full on teen wolf with this one. Heavy load. We usually think of polar bears, but we forget they did werewolves too with 7-inch single Monsters of the Night. So
that's badass. That's
awesome. Pretty cool, actually.
That's pretty neat.
I love this cover. Yes, it's just the right combination of fun, cheesy, but also kind of rocks just a little bit. The Monsters of the Night song is not one of their stronger ones. It's a relatively simple, kind of catchy sing-along one. And unless I'm mistaken, it's got a chorus of children kind of helping chant the name of the song over and over, which never something you should do. Ask the guys in Behemoth how that goes over with your fan base. Keep the 12 and under set off your heavy metal recordings, folks. But the flip side, however, I'm Alive is a real banger. And I'm pretty sure it's non-LP. I don't think that track's on any of the other stuff. So you do get one good song and one song that almost sounds like it could have really been on the Teen Wolf soundtrack. And on the back, you do even get the solid European mustache for the metal theologian out there in the chat. You get only one, but
mustache is international, Alan. Come on.
One's all you need. Yep.
It's an international mustache. It isn't just strictly European.
I don't know. In this context, I want to keep that in Europe. We're going to keep it in quarantine for at least 6 weeks before it's allowed to cross international waters. But yeah, this was one of the band's last recorded outputs. They sort of called it a day in the mid 80s, which was a shame. Great band, one of the early leaders of the first wave of Swedish heavy metal scene. Hard to go wrong with Heavy Load.
Well, was that reissued by? I think that was reissued, by High Roller reissue some of their catalog. I think
it's almost easier to name the things High Roller hasn't reissued at this
point. Oh, yeah. I think they actually have. I think they have. So
I hope they have. For a very long time, it was hard to get the Heavy Load catalog because it was out of print for a long time and stuff went for kind of silly prices. So if they have, then kudos to High Roller. They are doing the Lord's work.
Mm-hmm.
It was a few episodes back. I threw out a challenge to Aaron, the metal theologian, to work on and document through his channel the growth of a handlebar mustache. How's that coming along, Aaron? Was that gauntlet picked up, or are you gonna not do it? Just curious. Anyway, nothing says Halloween like a dipshit standing in the woods wearing a vampire mask. Yeah. This is Stroy. It's a pretty lackluster black metal project of, I'm assuming, members of Drowning the Light. But yep, they got their mileage out of it. In fact, there might even be more. If you're going to go and do the mask, oh yeah, they both have their own. Yep. Some pretty impressive mask work there. And yeah, you could tell they probably don't play live. They're not intended to do so. And again, this is very lackluster. I got the record cheap somewhere, and being somewhat interested in what used to be anyway, what Drowning the Light does. And yeah, all their projects sound pretty much exactly the same. But I always got a kick out of the cover. I'm like, oh, he's pondering the size of his invisible orange. Or maybe he's got an invisible bowling ball. Maybe there's a lane up in front of him. He wants to, try to roll a spare or something. But I don't know, man.
Marty, you jest, but if you're in one of those competitive leagues, a big part of it is the mental preparation. You've got to be the ball.
Right. You have to be the ball.
You can't roll no 220s in that kind of league, son. That will not cut the cheese.
Right. So yeah, Strigoi. Dipshits and masks. All right.
Okay, I'm up.
You're up.
So here's another one that usually gets an October spin, but I'm gonna go with actually maybe 2 songs on this one, but Venom, Black Metal. Have you heard of these guys? Anyways, but I think you guys showed them on your last Halloween show too, so I'm gonna try to maybe not pick those songs, but you know what? You guys got witches last year, so I get a couple witches this year. So
yeah.
Fair.
Of course, don't burn the witch, and we said we could have monsters on this one.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go kind of proverbial monster. Let's go with my favorite track. She is a monster, Countess Bathory. That is my favorite track. Obviously a real monster. And yeah, so this one gets still regular spins over here at Planet Six Strings. But yeah, don't burn the witch. There, whatever. You know this album. It's fantastic. And
totally. And
the covers, hey, fits right in October, right? For sure.
Oh, yeah. They do. Very nice call.
You know what? I was talking with a couple guys across the pond, and they seem not to be as big on Venom as us here. The North Americans, whatever you want to say. I don't know, and they're from that area, but
are you talking about the English guys?
Yeah, like
no one likes the local band.
Nobody likes
a thing. It's a thing.
Yep. What's not to like about Venom? They're awesome.
Yeah, nobody likes the locals. Those guys are all too worried about what's going on with Testament to care about Venom.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah,
which is fine. Cool, but yeah. All right.
Yeah, just take a moment here to say, hey, a lot of unfamiliar faces in the chat. So if you're new tonight, hey, thanks for checking us out. Hope you're having a good time. Seeing lots of good comments from folks. I'm trying to interact with them as much as I can while also showing records. Quick historical note about Countess Bathory. There's been some research done on her by European historians in recent years. And some of the documents they're finding indicate that a lot of the accusations against her may have been fabricated by, I don't remember how the feudal system in that area worked at the time, but the bottom line was for a woman in that place and time,
too much power.
She had a huge amount of money and land left to her through family and marriage connections. And that made sort of the local equivalent of a governor kind of nervous / jealous. And so, yeah, they've been finding documentation that, he essentially may have trumped up a lot of charges against her and vilified her because under those circumstances, a lot of that material wealth she had would have gone to the state once she was, tried and executed and considered, a witch and a monster and all that stuff. So it's not really clear cut. They didn't have necessarily definitive proof, but people digging into the historical records of the time are finding that Bathory may have gotten a little bit of a raw shakedown from the man back then, rather than just doing all those kind of crazy atrocities that are associated with her name now.
Well, that's the whole thing with with not even just the Salem witch trials, but the witch trials in general. They say that the church feared women and their power. And like here in Salem and whatnot, you have women living alone, owning their own property or having their own stuff, or, you know, they're widowed or whatever. And all you have to do is say someone's a witch and get rid of them, and the state can take over the land. So it was just as much a land grab as it was anything else. Plus, there was also a mold growing on their wheat that caused hallucinations and shit. So part of that's for truth as well, but there was also some governmental shenanigans. So power has always been corrupt, folks. It isn't new. It's since the dawn of time. Anybody with power is going to do shitty things. It's the way it is.
So what I'm hearing here, Marty, is that, say, for example, if, you know, Simon and I were, you know, highly offended by a certain affluent female member of the YouTube vinyl community, and we wanted to start rumors that, you know, she, you know, was into witchcraft, we could inherit most of her record collection because she left us off her island.
Maybe if it was the 1800s, sure.
Okay, that does put a little wrinkle in the plan. We'll pigeonhole this this plot for now and circle back to it.
Put a pin in it.
Yeah, put in the parking lot.
Good deal. All right. Well, let me get out of, you know, history professor mode and actually show a record. Seagull was calling for this one earlier, and it was one of the first things I pulled. So absolutely, you cannot talk Halloween themed bands and stuff without talking Stormwitch. Never one of the biggest German metal bands, but, you know, they've stuck it out for a very long time and done a lot of stuff. The earlier albums are better, but a ton of their songs are based on the classic horror stories, you know, the kind of, you know, gothic Victorian ones. This is the debut album, Walpurgis Night. One of the best songs on it, and definitely fitting the bill tonight, is Werewolves on the Hunt, closing out side one. So sticking to the werewolves for a bit. Yeah, and they did play with a little bit of, you know, kind of spooky imagery there, having a, you know, couple of reapers flanking the band picture there. Fairly good band picture for 80s metal band standards. But, you know, they did tons of songs, you know, based on Bram Stoker's Dracula and Frankenstein and Dorian Gray, you know, all those kind of, you know, classic spooky tales along the Edgar Allan Poe kind of genre that we're mostly all familiar with. Everybody's read those at one point or another. So yeah, you know, again, by the time you get to like album 4 and 5, Stormwitch were getting much lighter in sound, but they still kept that horror theme even through a lot of those later albums. So definitely a good Halloween band with tons of songs. Werewolves on the Hunt has always been one of my favorites by them. So that's the album that got pulled tonight. Stormwitch with Walpurgis Night.
All right.
Over to you, Marty.
Man, this album sucks. I do not like this record. The last few I've shown I haven't really loved, but this one in particular, Necromania, is Crossing the Fiery Path. You got yourself a little Dracula there. Got some poorly drawn bats in the background. A very cartoonish, comic-looking Dracula as well. I don't know. Greek band. The big claim to fame on this early stuff is it's 2 basses instead of a guitar. I don't know. It's like a 6-string bass and a 7-string bass and a regular bass. So it's just they had a unique sound. They didn't really start to interest me until the one after this. What the hell's the name of the after? Scarlet Evil Witching Black, I believe, is the second album. But this album, pretty lackluster Greek black metal to me. I don't know. I just, in the early stages, I preferred Verathron and Rotting Christ to this band, but they got better as they went. But kind of a Halloweeny, and you got your wolf down here too, and you know, Halloweeny cover. Yeah, so I didn't totally screw up the assignment.
No, that's a cool cover. Actually, I like the colors, the blue and the red. Nice.
Darcy,
I'm up.
You're up.
I'm up. Okay. The dungeons are calling. And
the turkey baster.
There is the turkey baster with the needle on it, and the skull fits Halloween, but I'm going with the song by the Grace of the Witch.
Nice one.
Fantastic song. Great EP. Must have if you're a Sabotage fan. Basically, these are just all tracks that didn't make sirens, and they recorded them kind of all at one time. And because of vinyl restraints and probably some money issues even back then, they fired out an EP after. And by the Grace of the Witch, great song, great band. I'm sure you've seen Sabotage on this channel quite a few times. My channel, Alan, we did the ranking, right? Yeah, we did.
Yes,
we did
on your channel. So there's my choice.
All right. Alan is next.
Yes, thanks, 919. Good picks indeed. And yes, that was in my stack. And I was actually picking the exact same song too, Darcy, because that song is awesome. And Sabotage, I mean, while they're not necessarily like a spooky band, they always had that slightly creepy vibe. You know, John's vocals are always a little deranged and stuff. I mean, again, most of those 80s bands, you know, they were, you know, singing about, you know, fast cars or had, you know, swords and castles. Sabotage got this kind of shit, you know, creepy children with knives crawling around in the sewer. That's fucked up. It just is. Nobody else would do that but Sabotage really back then.
I always said Chris's guitar tone had an eerie vibe to it. That's the only way I can explain it. But he is just fantastic guitar player, but he had an eerie vibe.
He did indeed. Oh, Seagull Rock is reading my mind tonight, so I'm going to make a last minute audible here based on what he just posted. And Seagull, it was booted up to come, and since you've called for it, we'll do it. Girl School, Take a Bite. This is not one of the more classic Girl School albums. I believe this one is their 7th. It's from 1988. So their day had kind of come and gone by this point, but you know, they were still knocking around into the late 80s, putting out albums. And so yes, you got, you know, a kind of, you know, airbrushed classic vampire thing going on here. Not a huge cover budget, but it, you know, it was on that GWR label that Motorhead moved to in the mid 80s also for the Orgasmatron album. Even though it's not the classic lineup, it's certainly not the worst Girl School album from that era. It's just not the best either. You know, the title track is a pretty fun one. It's got a good beat to it, kind of a sing-along, a little bit of a stomper. This was the era when both Tracy Lamb and Chris Bonacci were part of the lineup. You know, Tracy, of course, you know, had come from Rock Goddess. She had a pretty solid metal background, and she's in the band again at this point with the album that came out earlier this year. Chris, I don't think she was with them very long or on other things. Chris's big, you know, claim to fame in recent years has been claiming, you know, her and Samantha Fox were an item for several years back in the 1980s. But yeah, for Girl School,
right on.
It's feeling a little. I thought you would appreciate that factoid, Marty. But yeah, Girl School by this point, he was feeling a little bit dumbed down compared to, you know, their first couple of albums, which I think are real bangers. Their early stuff is great for 2 or 3 albums. But at this point, it is getting a little watered down. I understand why they were getting passed over by this stage, but it's not a throwaway of an album either. You can listen to it, have a little bit of fun, and you can certainly find worse ones in their catalog to check out. I hadn't thought of this album in ages, but yeah, when considering it's like vampires, need some more vampires for tonight. All of a sudden, this one kind of climbed out of the back of my mind. I don't have a hard copy of it, but I pulled it up to show off because it's a fun one. So yes, Seagull, get out of my mind. That's 2 or 3 times tonight already that you've called some of my shots. All right, Marty, let's pass the ball over to you, sir.
All right, let's go to Sweden with Necro Curse, Grip of the Dead. I just thought it was kind of a cool Halloween color scheme, and you got the, you know, the metal skeletons coming out of the ground. This band is kind of a super group, so to speak. You've got Hell Butcher from Niflheim on vocals. You've got Nikki Terror from oh my God, COVID brain. You reviewed the band, Alan, the Swedish death metal band, Nikki Terror. Oh my God, I can't remember the name.
I'm sorry, I don't know where you're going
Death
with
Witch. He was in Death Witch and a bunch of other bands.
Oh, the Doom Death Band?
Yeah, the Doom Death Band.
Rune Magic.
Rune Magic. Yep, Nikki Terror right here.
That was 8 months ago, Marty.
I know, but still,
That's why
I'm looking at the guy. I know his name, but I don't remember the band. It's just
it's all
like,
good. It's all
shit
good.
like that drives me nuts. But yeah, I mean, this is a pretty savage, caustic, catchy album. If you like Niflheim, it's right in league with that. Really aggressive, catchy, fast. They only did a couple releases, but this is the last one they've done. Grip of the Dead. Good stuff. My dog just farted. Pig.
The fact that you can smell that he just farted means you are recovering from some of your COVID symptoms.
She never smells. She just makes noise. It's funny. Anyway. All right.
I'm up.
Yep.
You are back up, sir.
Well, I got one of the best vampire covers around. You guessed it? Okay.
There it is. Yeah.
There it is.
Hellstar, Nosferatu, just killer band from Texas, Hellstar. Yeah, I'm just going with the cover here. I mean, I could go with some songs, I suppose, but James Rivera on vocals, the guy is fantastic. I'm a big fan of these guys. I don't have everything from them, but I do have quite a bit. But this is one of my favorites for sure. Is that for me? There it is. Yeah, we got. But great cover. I suppose you probably know a lot of these tracks already, but we could. Yeah. Nothing actual Halloweeny except for this great cover, but there's my next choice, Hellstar.
Yeah,
good pick.
Yeah, you've got like most of the was it side A is the Bram Stoker Dracula story.
Yeah, right through. I think right through till the curse has passed away. Yeah, the first 6 songs. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, so it's kind of like the Spider's Lullaby, where it's kind of got a mini story in it, but then also some individual tracks. They just have them on side B instead of side A.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, Ellen.
All right. Let's get some zombies into the action here. And the definitive zombie album for me has always been this one, Deceased, Fearless, Undead Machines. Everything about this album just works perfectly. The title is perfect. Love the cover art for the theme. Love the color scheme of the cover art. This kind of sickly, pale, greenish, yellow, and gray just works perfectly. Yeah, the album.
Wes Ben Scotter artwork. Good stuff.
Yeah, really nicely done. This one, it's kind of a concept album. The guys roughly based it on a lot of like the Dawn of the Dead zombie stuff, but mixed in elements from other zombie tales and things too. But yeah, for me the best track has always been the opening one, The Silent Creature. The album starts off right away with this really creepy guitar riff that just sets the tone perfectly for it. Deceased, of course, it's not their first recording. They'd done a few things before this, which, are good. This was the one that felt like, they really took a big step up just in terms of, tightness, in terms of, solid production, and just being really focused and, getting, a top-notch, album put out. This was really the thing that put them on the map. I'd heard some of their earlier ones and again, kind of liked them, but, when I first heard about this, it wasn't on the top of my to-buy list. But I kept seeing it advertised on the back of like Metal Maniacs. Relapse had taken out big full page or at least half page ads with that cover art and that name, and I was just like, man, that looks pretty good. I think I will have to give that a chance. And I was always really glad I did because I just instantly clicked. Great zombie worship from guys who, of course, King Fowley, huge horror fan. Him and Mike, just did, an absolute great job on this. Mike and Mark sound great together as the guitar tandem on this album. They were
always great. Great duo.
Yeah. They always played off of each other. So
Good
incredibly
dudes
well.
too. Super awesome guys.
Very nice guys. Yes, got
Yep.
to meet both of them back in the day
Me too.
when they were both in the lineup, and yeah, always a fun band live. Still out there on the road, of course. Now Mike doesn't tour with them and such, but King's still out there. So yeah, check them out if you get a chance, and don't overlook one of the sort of cult classics from the late '90s. Fearless Undead Machines.
So who did that cover? You said
Wes Benscotter, I believe.
okay. So yeah, that's the guy who's done the past 4 cattle decap covers too. The guy is a phenomenal artist.
Yeah.
See. Mike, yes, the drumming on the album is fantastic as well.
Yeah.
Yep. And you're right. Yes, the chainsaw.
Alrighty. It's good to know that product placement in heavy metallurgy is so delicious. Ben just started up the stream, and it started with Werther's original commercial. So apparently, like he said, we're all a bunch of grandpas. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, he's not lying.
All right. This does nothing really to do with Halloween other than the fact that this is always a fall time record for me, and I used to listen to it a lot during Halloween. Onslaught the Force. There's something about this record, man. Talk about England. This is I struggle with English thrash. I've said it before, and some of it's good, but they're just kind of late to the party. But this album in particular got it right for me. And another band who the first 3 albums sound completely different from each other. They start off as a kind of a crusty, they come from crust punk and put out, oh my God, what the hell is the name of the first record, Alan?
Something hell.
Sorry, I looked away for a second, Marty. Oh, yeah, not Power from Hell.
Power from Hell, Jesus Christ. COVID brain, great. I like it. It's good. Hey, Tip fam. Thanks so much. You're too kind. Thank you.
Tip.
But this record is special. Super. It's got an evil tone to it. I love the production of it. It's just got songs. Let There Be Death. What a song.
Metal Forces.
Flame of the Antichrist. Metal Forces. Fight with the Beast. Thrash Till Death. Awesome closing track. This is just a great record. And again, this was a big fall time record, and it was this and Merciful Fate for me a lot during the teenage years of driving around town with the windows down and the leaves blowing around, and definitely had the vibe for me.
That is an 86 Thrasher piece, that one.
Yep, absolutely.
7. That's the one thing that kind of sticks out on that album is it's only 7 songs, but it's actually a decent length album. It's 5 to 7 minute songs, and that's wasn't really typical for thrash band, all thrash bands, but every song was kind of in that neighborhood. But man, there is some killer stuff. What year did you discover that? 86?
It was right around there.
Yeah. See, I was late to the party on that album. I wish I would have had it. It's like one of those albums like Artillery by Inheritance. I wish I would have known it back then.
I had that back in the day on tape too. That and the Fear of Tomorrow and Terror Squad tapes. Yeah.
That's cool.
All right, Darcy, I'll be right back.
Oh, well, now I can't show the one I was going to show.
I just have to save it for one round.
I will save it for the next round. Let's go with this one. This one has multiple. You could just throw a dartboard at this song track listing, but we're going to go with Iced Earth Horror Show.
Oh, very good call. Yep.
Pretty much, yeah. We got tons of shit on here. We got Wolf, Damien, Frankenstein, Dracula, Transylvania, a cover of Iron Maiden's Transylvania, Phantom, the Phantom Opera Ghost. So it's based, I don't know, it's kind of like a little tribute to horror in general. So this is the last to feature Matt Barlow for quite a few years.
Oh,
there's my pick. Oh, you got it? Okay. Yeah.
Also has Steve DeGorgio on bass.
Hey, you know what? You just took the words right out of my mouth.
I had to do something since you stole my pick.
I was talking to Metal Mickey about this, about Steve DiGiorgio, because you can absolutely tell he is on this album.
Yeah.
You can absolutely tell he is on the Death albums that he is on.
And the Sadist albums. I mean,
but-
and Autopsy albums.
But Testament, you really
They keep
gotta
him in a
listen
box.
hard.
They keep him in a box.
Yep, they're just letting him do the basics with that band, and this part of the bass is what makes this thing is awesome. Like, I mean, obviously Barlow's a great vocalist, blah blah blah.
Yep.
But yeah, good old Steve on here. But there's my pick, Horror Show from Iced Earth.
I always wondered why too, because like the early Testament, Greg Christensen, he's not a Steve DiGiorgio level bass player, but he had that real metallic, clangy bass tone. The bass cut through that early Testament stuff really good. You know, you could hear him really well. And I always wondered why they didn't let, Steve do a little Steve stuff more so. And it would have been cool element
I
to
think
add
they
to
should.
Testament.
They got to let him loose, man.
Yeah. All right. Ellen.
Alrighty. Yeah, good call on the I forgot about that Iced Earth album, Darcy. But in that part of their catalog, they were getting pretty hit or miss for me. So I forget about some of those. Let's see. Darcy mentioned we should probably revisit this artist more than once tonight. So let's circle back and let's talk Merciful Fate, but let's talk Return of the Vampire, because vampire. These kind of collections can sometimes work out and sometimes not. You never know. I've always really liked this collection of Merciful Fate demos. You get to hear a lot of the songs in kind of their early phases. A lot of them had different titles that they were working under originally. You can hear, parts of songs, that, changed a lot later on. But yeah, it really shows that, even very early, they were really nailing it. Even these rough drafts are better than a lot of bands could ever do on a finished product. But yeah, for songs, of course, you have, Return of the Vampire, one of their kind of much slower and heavier songs by their standards. But the one I was originally pulling this for in terms of a track is one of my favorites, Curse of the Pharaohs, because we need a little mummy action to go with our vampires as well. And
I gotta say, Curse of the Pharaohs for me and Merciful Fate lore is kind of like Paranoid. I love the song, but if I never heard it again, I'd be fine. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
I would not be fine under that condition. I would not be fine whatsoever. But since I just showed zombies and now we're talking mummies, question for you, gentlemen: are mummies any different from zombies?
Probably not. Same premise.
I mean, they're both
slow.
dead. They both come back to life.
They shamble and they chase you. I mean, yeah, it's.
What's the difference? Why do we not call
they're
mummies
wrapped?
zombies?
It's the mummies are more Egyptian. It's an Egyptian zombie.
Is it just an Egyptian zombie?
Yeah, because I mean they wrapped their dead, the sarcophagus, and everywhere else they buried him. So everywhere else in the world comes up from the grave where the Egyptian ones come out of the sarcophagus.
Yeah.
Are we sure that mummies don't eat flesh though, Sean? I mean, I don't really know much about the dietary habits of mummies. They could eat flesh.
I don't know what they eat.
They eat hummus.
Yeah.
You see, I tried to bring up a fun, spooky themed thing, and you see what you do there, Marty.
Mel says mummies are zombies in burrito form. That's awesome, Mel.
Before. That's awesome.
Mel probably knows where I'm getting this from too. It was it was one of the running gags for an episode or two of The Big Bang Theory, where there was the one nerdy guy who would always bring up the really off the wall questions that the others would think that's stupid, but then they'd get sucked into the debate and couldn't get out of it. And the mummy versus zombie thing was one that drove them all insane for an episode.
Well, Mike says mummies don't eat brains. Well, how do you know they don't eat brains? I have no idea what the dietary needs of a mummy are.
I thought you just said they ate hummus, Mr.
That was lame. I was thinking of leggings ladies at Target again. Sorry.
Okay, so badly misproportioned characters on Fate's Warning albums eat hummus from Target while they're buying their leggings.
Yes,
but the question of what mummies consume is
Zachary says mummies eat toilet paper.
There. I mean, most of your monsters is pretty clear: vampire, blood; werewolf, meat; zombie, brains and guts;
Yeah.
mummies.
Hey, Marty, they eat lavender toilet paper. Okay.
Let's say they got the
have any
rabbit toilet
lavender
paper.
toilet paper?
So logic would dictate they eat ass.
They're wrapped in the lavender toilet paper so you can smell them coming unless you've got COVID. So Marty's going to be the first one killed in the Mummy movie.
They don't want to eat this ass right now unless they want COVID. Anyway.
Marty's just like sitting there watching stuff on YouTube and the mummy's shambling up behind him. We're all screaming, "Run, Marty, can't you smell him?" Oh, no, he can't.
But yeah, that was a great choice anyways, because you had mentioned too that there was songs that were changed form, things like that. I think wasn't Death Kiss, didn't that turn out to be a corpse or a dangerous meeting?
Yes. Yep,
yeah,
exactly. Good
yeah,
call.
yeah, it's so cool. Yeah, it's
mm-hmm.
And you're right, there is songs on this that they sound just as good as anything that were on the first two albums.
They really do.
I haven't seen the track list on that in a while. Does that have Mission Destroy Aliens on it?
Yep, it has MDA on it too.
Yeah,
it's got You Asked For It, which became Black Masses, or the other one. Yeah, I think it became Black Mass. Yeah, but You Asked For It becomes Black Masses.
Burning the Cross is on here.
Yep, Leave My Soul. It's got early versions of A Corpse Without Soul and Leave My Soul Alone.
And it has Return of the Vampire without Lars Ulrich on drums.
Yep.
Well,
it's an early version.
It's an early version. He does the 96 version with them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the version on the comeback album In the Shadows.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
We might be holding that one up. Anyways, we'll see.
Could be, yeah. Oh, yeah. One last thing too that's nice. You know, at least the original. This is an older CD pressing. King Diamond, you know, they actually have, you know, some short liner notes about each of the songs' origins and stuff written by King. The recent vinyl reissues, while they're really nice looking, they didn't include those liner notes, which I don't know why. There may have been logistical reasons they couldn't, but it's kind of a shame not to have them because, yeah, it's kind of cool just to, you know, get a few sentences about each track. I forget which one it is, but he mentions, you know, one of them, like, you know, they were working on it one night and then they went out to, like, you know, go goof around in the graveyard and they almost got busted by the police. They had to hide for hours to avoid getting arrested for basically, you know, trespassing in a graveyard that was like right across the street from where they'd been playing.
Yeah.
So yeah, just cool little, you know, tidbits like that. So even the liner notes on this, you know, are really worth the price of admission. But enough on that. Marty, what you got for us next?
Well, Alan said zombies. Let's talk about Necrophagia, Season of the Dead. Very much Killjoy was very much a horror guy for sure. And my version of this got ruined by water. There's a young Killjoy right there. You know what? People really herald this early Necrophagia stuff as really influential, big deal. I have a handful of Necrophagia things. It just never really did much for me. Killjoy's vocals are super sick. He's a great vocalist, but Necrophagia just never blew me away. They were always just kind of so to me. And then Phil Anselmo got involved in the band for a few albums, and I don't know. It's okay, but you know, whenever I think of horror themed death metal in particular, it goes to Necrophagia. Killjoy was a big fan of the films and put it into the music he was creating. But yeah, I mean, you got to champion them for being one of the early ones for sure. But other than that, they just don't blow me away like so many people seem to. Exactly, Alex. They were just okay to me too. But all right, that was Zombie, and we're back to Darcy.
Well, this is the one I was going to hold up last time, but you decided to get up, and I kind of saved it. So you kind of forced me to hold up Iced Earth, but this one is kind of a shout out. I know one of the guys in the band, and this is a fitting cover, fitting band name. There you go. The Glorious Dead.
Yep.
Marty, I've told you over and over, this is a fantastic album, and
right on.
I do not say that because it's you. I will tell you that right now. There's no bullshit. I really love this album, and the song I'm gonna pick, I'm gonna go with the title track because I absolutely love Cemetery Path.
Mm-hmm.
And I had mentioned to you before, I can even hear some Metallica type Ride the Lightning riff in here. I hear the vocals actually remind me of another German death metal band that does it kind of Swedish style called Flesh Crawl. Actually, their vocalist Swan, may he rest in peace. That's one of Jurgen's buddies, and the vocals remind me a bit of a Swen. But I don't know your other bandmates, but yeah. And look at this cover. This is just absolutely killer. I don't know who did this.
Nate Burns.
But what a job.
Thanks.
But yeah. So you know what? Don't turn red or anything because you deserve.
I've been waiting for the big death metal expose on the Darcy 6 Strings 9 Lives channel. It hasn't happened yet.
I'm putting it together, man. I got about, and you guys probably know that I wasn't a big death metal guy in my heyday, but as I grow older, I'm embracing it all. So
cool. No, I'm glad you like it, man. And I wanted you to have it. And I didn't know if it was going to be up your alley or not. But.
No, I really like what you guys have done with and your other album with the logo. The other logo's green, and this one's purple. You really focus on the logo color versus the more subtle artwork, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Is there a t-shirt of this?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta buy that.
Right on. Okay. I appreciate that, Darcy. I'm glad you like it. Very cool. Put me on the spot there. All right, Ellen.
Okay. Seagull is totally cheating off my paper tonight. So, he's called another shot. Witch Killer. Day of the Saxons. This is mainly for the band name, Witch Killer. Again, getting back to the whole, witch trials and such. There's a few little spooky things going on. We got some kind of Halloween decoration there in the background, and then we have this thing they're holding up.
Looks like one of the rock creatures off of
Rock,
off of the Fates Warning album cover.
They have decapitated a Muppet, and that tells you. Don't fuck with these. Don't fuck. This is how Canadians tell you they're tough. They chop the heads off of Muppets. So Phil is screaming somewhere right now. If he's not watching, he's still screaming. But very cool EP. This is one of the real early Metal Blade releases. If the number will show up there, it's Metal Blade 1011. So the 11th release on Brian Slagel's label back in the day. If I remember correctly, it was the first non-US signing that he did. This was the first time a band outside the States got to appear and get their own release on Metal Blade. Really good EP, very much in kind of the classic maideny, gallopy style. Several really good tracks on it. Day of the Saxons is good. Begging for Mercy is probably my favorite. But you've also got Riders of Doom, Penance for Past Sins. So nice one. Band never really got to do anything else to my knowledge, which is kind of a shame, but a lot of those bands didn't. They got their one EP, and that was about it. Last thing on Witch Killer, they're not to be confused with Witch Slayer, even though obviously kind of the same idea. Witch Slayer was, I believe, a Chicago area band, and they did appear on one of the Metal Massacre comps. It's volume 4. If I remember right. But that was a whole different group of guys who were out, to do in some witches. These guys killed witches. The Chicago band slays witches. There's a subtle but important difference between the two. And because these guys also killed Muppets, which, let's be honest, probably a good thing. The world probably needs fewer Muppets. That's my hot take for the night. Muppets are evil and should be exterminated.
Except for chromium dioxide Muppets. Those are fine.
Well,
that's
there
not
was
really,
that incident in Phil's last
The
video.
latest one, I know, still
That's-
scarred from that.
Yeah, I was telling Chromie in the comments earlier, Blaze is not the only person who has a certain image seared into their brain now. Rough. Indeed.
rough.
It could, at least they didn't chop that off and hold it up on the album
Right.
cover here.
True.
That would have gotten one of those big old Tipper Gore stickers right there in the middle of it.
Alan, you need to do a episode of, or maybe you have bands that contain the name witch in it. I bet you it would be a hour-long episode.
It would be funny. I've thought about how to try to do a Metallurgy stream where we try to just keep chaining band names together so that you can follow the witch chain for a while, but then eventually you could use Angel Witch and then jump over to all the bands with Angel in the name. And eventually you get, to somebody else and jump into something else. So yeah, we might try that sometime and see if we can get how long we can keep the chain going before somebody can't come up with an entry. You end up with some really weird name.
Yeah, just keep it flowing.
Yep. Excuse me. Got a little bit of allergies tonight. So
I've given Alan COVID via digitally.
Digital COVID. That's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I've just got a little bit of the old post-nasal drip. Always fun. But Marty, let's see what fun thing you got for us next.
Oh, I felt bad even picking this because it's so obvious. But Fatal Portrait.
Good pick.
My favorite King Diamond album, which says a lot because there's a lot of great ones. Obviously, you got the song Halloween here, but also Sharon. I mean, the whole story itself, very awesome. God, this album's so good. The third Merciful Fate record, as far as I'm concerned. And God, that band photo of King has always been. Is there a more evil band photo ever than that right there? That is just fantastic. Great. Other than maybe Melissa, the one where he's drinking the potion, the Melissa is really, really good band photo as well. But you really can't. In fact, I listened to this today doing dishes. You can't get away from the season without spinning this classic stuff for sure. And I've got another one here queued up as well. So we'll get around to, you can see it in the picture, but we'll get around to that here in a minute.
Great pick, great album. I mean, it's no conspiracy, but it is a good album. But I'm just bugging you.
No, conspiracy rules too, but yep.
Yeah, I love conspiracy, but my pick.
Your turn.
Well, you see the name on my shirt here, so I know you probably know that I'm a big fan of this young guy. Excuse me. No, I got digital COVID. Anyways, this is Hellripper's second album, The Affair of the Poisons, and I'm gonna pick a song on here. Yeah, there's probably a couple you could pick, but the track is called Vampire's Grave. If you don't know Hellripper, it's kind of like Motorhead vibe, early Metallica, blackened thrash. James McBain out of Scotland. He is just killing it. Even his new album is fantastic, and you may see that yet tonight too. But yeah, go check out the track Vampire's Grave. It is awesome. Some cool artwork there too from Hellripper.
Very cool.
Yep. Yeah, I've heard good things about the band. I haven't really checked them out much. I've just heard a few clips here and there.
A lot of the English guys are into that. I've seen when those albums come out, they're all showing it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
All right. Ellen.
All right. Sometimes you got to go with the very simple things. Halloween, nighttime, bats, right? So let's get a bat involved here on a 7-inch single by a band called Night Child. So even the name's kind of, children trick-or-treating at night.
He's happy. Look, he's got a smile.
It is. It's a happy bat. See, this is the fun kind of like, second grade level bat that you had in elementary school so that it wasn't too spooky and you had them hanging all over your classroom while you were like learning, long division for the first time. Yeah, happy little bat. Yeah, it was simple, but not a terrible drawing. They even got the happy little bat on the record label when they put out their single. There is not much to say about A Night Child. They were a band from Indiana, which right away is telling you they probably didn't have much of a chance in this world. The single is on kind of a cool red vinyl, though, so extra points for that because kind of goes with, again, bat. It's a happy bat, but it does drink blood, so hey, like, don't go petting the bat or anything like that. They've got the bat and kind of a tombstone theme worked in here on the back too, but again, it's very much like the kind of things you would have cut out with construction paper when you were in first grade to make holiday decorations. The songs on here, Remember the Faithful and Hero, are, I want to be very honest, they are not classics of the underground heavy metal genre. They're all right, but Night Child, geography wasn't the only thing working against Night Child. That they are not going to be renowned as one of the great lost talents of the mid 1980s. But I kind of like the single nonetheless. I got a soft spot for it. And thinking about what kind of album covers and stuff done, I was like, this is a great chance to pull out Night Child, which I have only done probably twice. It'll probably be a long time before I have a good reason to pull it out again for anything. But sometimes you gotta go with the simple aesthetics. Not everything has to be, brain-eating zombies and crazy satanic underworld seances. Sometimes you just need a happy cartoon bat.
Oh, you stumped Aaron. You stumped Aaron. I've never seen that one.
Really? I'll be dogged. Okay. Yeah. Well,
stumped him.
If Aaron hasn't seen it, that's saying something. So that's why the bat is smiling, because he actually scored 1 point for his heavy metal street cred score from Metal Theologian.
Right on. Well,
all right, Marty, you got anything with a happy bat on it?
I've got a bat that is like the king of all metal bats.
Oh yeah.
Oh, very nice.
Charlie.
Very nice.
Charlie from Overkill, their mascot. Very cool. Always awesome. Obviously there's nothing Halloween about Overkill, but I always liked Charlie and used to have a couple cool shirts in high school with him on it. Too bad I outgrew them and gave them all a Viking burial, but wish I didn't do that. They would have been a lot of money. Anyway, yep, I had to see your pathetic 13-year-old girl drawn bat and trumpet with Charlie, the master of the skull bats.
Hey, you can't go wrong with that.
Nope.
Very cool logo. What do we think of that Overkill album?
I think it is not a very great record, to be honest. For a long time, for me, Overkill, I mean, I grew up, I love Overkill. Back when I was in high school, for me, they were kind of an every other record album. They were kind of an every other record band for me.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Feel the Fire is a favorite. I like Taking Over a lot. And then this record, which, and then what came after that? Years of Decay, great record, but they followed it up with Horoscope, which is another one of my all-time favorites by them. So but then they would hit I Hear Black, which sucks. It's a terrible record. They're just so inconsistent for me. They're all doing they sound like Overkill, but some albums are better than others. What do you think of that record, Alan?
Oh, me? I was going to ask Darcy. Why don't you go first on that one?
Well, you know, and somebody said something about spooky. You know what's kind of spooky? You look through that manhole cover and see the Twin Towers. It's always amazed me. You know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I like that album. The production is
I like the album, but Shred is a stupid song. It's not a great song to start the album off with. Anyway, go ahead. I don't mean to cut you off.
But what it actually has, if you think about albums that came out in, what was that, 80, that's 80,
88.
88. You know, you had albums like State of Euphoria, because that one was produced by Alex Perielis also.
Yep.
You had that kind of thin drum sound too. Even on that one you did too. But I really like it. It is 88 thrash. That's what I call it. It's not a terrible album, and I'll disagree with you totally that there actually is no bad Overkill album. I Hear Black, it's got some killer songs, but they kind of got in a groove now. But back in the day, they didn't do many albums that were samey. You know, so I really actually do enjoy that album quite a bit.
I mean, I ended up liking it, but I had to work to like it. There were songs that Hell from the Gutter obviously is a hit single. Mad Gone World, Brain Fade.
Yeah.
Head First, just a stupid groupie song. I mean, there's some bad lyrics on this record. I don't know. I like it. It's heavy. It's good. It's just not as good as the two that came out after.
Well, and that's after Rat Skates left. Like,
yep.
Rat, he was an original member. He had the vision. It was really his band.
It was. Yeah.
You know, kind of after he left, they needed a little time to kind of get their groove until the Years of Decay, where they hit their stride. And
yep.
I think in their discography, they kind of suffered maybe the most not suffered, but tried that groovy thing in the early like the mid 90s, 96 through 99 wasn't their best period, but yeah, not a bad album.
When they hit Ironbound, they were kind of back on track again. And nowadays they're putting out great records. They're just too long. They're writing too long. They need to shave some of the fat, I think. Yeah. But
I do agree with what Wade said. The production is, it's kind of like when an album like Souls of Black from Testament. I never hated the album, but the production was weak sounding. And that's what I kind of found with that one too. But all right, who's up? Me?
You are up, sir.
Well, I'm going to dip back into the well of one of two bands that I play all October long, but I'm going to go with this one, Merciful Fate, In the Shadows. So we already kind of talked about this one as being the kind of the comeback for both bands. Really, this is kind of where it started, because we never had a Merciful Fate album in quite a few years. We never had a King Diamond album since 1990. So this came in 93.
And the last one was terrible.
Which one?
Give Me Your Soul, Please. Isn't that the last?
Oh yeah, that was 07. But we were. I was talking about since the Eye till Spiders was 5 years, and then from this to Melissa was a lot of years, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a really good record.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with The Witch, the Bell Witch, great song. And Return of the Vampire, there's the one with Ulrich on drums. Yeah, just typical Lars drumming. It's not bad, but it's just there. But my favorite track on here, surprisingly enough, is
Gruesome Time for me.
13 Invitations for me.
It's a good song. Yeah.
Yeah. Love that song. So there's my pick, In the Shadows.
We didn't get your opinion on Under the Influence, Alan. What were you going to say about that?
Oh, yeah. I haven't heard that one in a long time, but I agree in general with y'all. Has some decent tracks, has a few that I'm not crazy about. And the production always felt, kind of strange on it. I kind of had some of that, hit or miss with Overkill albums too. It's not that any of the early ones were bad, but some of them were much better than others. The debut, fantastic. Years of Decay, one of my favorite albums ever. Horror Show, great. But Under the Influence, I Hear Black, albums, that weren't on the same level for me personally.
Right on. I gotta tell you though, Darcy, getting back to the In the Shadows, I was at the record store the day that came out looking for that, and I was not disappointed. I was really happy that the whole band was back, and it's a solid record. It had the vibe to it,
Can you remember how you felt, how pumped you were?
I was super. I couldn't stop listening to it. It was over and over and over and over and over again. I loved it.
Those are the days, man.
Yep. All right, Alan, you're up.
All right. Well, let's get another group photo of all the Halloween monsters together in one place. Not doing anything too scary, just kind of hanging out, chilling, relaxing on the sofa, watching a little TV with Tankard.
Zombie Attack. Yeah.
Zombie Attack. So,
that's a great cover.
Yes, fun. You got your skeleton, Frankenstein, scared female character, werewolf, vampire, and you even get an ode to your sort of axe murderer Freddy Jason kind of guy there in the background. So literally trying to hit, all the tropes that they could on their debut album, which, I don't know if anyone's going to make the case that it's the best Tankard album. That would be a stretch.
It's
For me,
it's fun, but
it's a
not
very
their
fun
best.
album. Yeah, fun. You're exactly right, Marty. Fun's the key adjective here. It's got, a good punky energy to it. Yes, things are a little simple and repetitive, but hey, that's okay sometimes. If you want a more, complex, technical sounding Tankard, you can get, other albums.
Chemical Invasion.
Chemical
The
Invasion is
follow-up.
a good example of that. Exactly.
Big jump in quality between those two records.
Yeah, but it's almost like they're trying to do a different flavor of thrash at that point. This has its place, just like Chemical Invasion does. So, but yeah, this one's always a fun one. And what more could you want for a Halloween cover? I guess it is missing a mummy. We do need. Now that I'm thinking of it, there's no mummy or zombie.
Yeah,
maybe they're watching a mummy or zombie movie on TV.
Watching a mummy eat ass.
Or they're watching a zombie. Maybe they're watching a mummy movie, and that's what she's shocked about. Is she's finally discovering the secret of what mummies actually eat.
Right.
Lavender ass.
That was a good pick.
Yeah,
good pick.
It's a fun one. Good album. Got to go back to it every now and then.
All right. Well, let's just get this Merciful Fate thing just off the table and out of the way. The King God Zulu of all Halloween records is right here for me. Don't break the oath. You got the devil himself on the cover, and which is without a doubt one of the most evil albums ever made. It just is. Not only in content alone, but overall atmosphere and execution. You've got metal's best guitar duo with Hank Sherman and Michael Denner. It's really a damn shame that Denner wasn't invited on the reunion. I don't know. I've watched a couple interviews with him lamenting about that, and it's kind of sad because he feels like he was kind of a knife stuck in his back over this whole thing, which is sad. It really is sad. Anyway, they're my favorite guitar duo, and you got the oath with that prayer at the beginning of the oath that just is so evil. Night of the Unborn, what a great song. Oh my god, the high falsetto chorus in the background, so sinister. Desecration of Souls, of course. To One Far Away, the instrumental leading up to Come to the Sabbath, classic. Welcome Princess of Hell, endless, classic. Evil to the core, great.
What my favorite track on there is?
Which one?
Gypsy.
That's a good song too. Yep.
I love it. I love King Diamond, period. But hey, do you have this?
I have it on CD.
Denner Sherman? Okay.
Yeah, they put out a couple albums. It's pretty good.
Yeah, they put out an EP and this is the full length.
Yeah.
The music is fantastic. The vocals are
no, I know.
They're okay, but people that don't like King Diamond's vocals seem to like Denner Sherman.
Yeah.
Whatever. I know King's voice is an acquired taste, but I've acquired the taste and I don't care.
Yep, me too. I hated it initially at first too. All right, Darcy, you're back. I'm gonna go use the potty and I'll be right back.
Okay, let's go with Slayer's Halloween, right?
Slayer's pretty spooky. They go for that
it's
horror
a
kind
little
of vibe.
spooky, but there's a song. Actually, I'm going to focus on the song Live Undead. So we got some undead zombies, whatever. I spun this the other day again, Alan, and just love it. I still love this album.
Oh, yeah.
Especially, I know Live Undead's a great track, but Mandatory Suicide, man. And of course, we got Dissident Aggressor, and they do a really good job of that. And
yes, they do.
I know a couple of people that didn't even know. They actually thought that was a original Slayer song before they obviously weren't Judas Priest fans. But it actually kind of opened the Judas Priest door for them. They're into, a couple guys that were into a little bit heavier music like Slayer. I mean, things change when I heard Rain and Blood in '86. Obviously, it was probably the most extreme thing I ever listened to. But Yeah, so we'll go with Live Undead. There's my next pick.
No, that's a good one. Slayer definitely feels like it, comes from more like, the Saw kind of version of horror, the, House of a Thousand Corpses type horror where everything's, a lot more, horrific. It's not the, the cartoon Frankensteins and vampires. It's the psycho serial killer that's got, torturing you to death in the basement kind of horror movie vibe. That's the Slayer style.
Yeah,
I've
been really on quite a bit of a Slayer kick lately. So I honestly, Alan, if you would have asked me, I don't know, 10 years ago, when was the Big Four? When was that a thing? Whatever. Even 10 years ago, you said, where does Slayer rank on your Big Four? I would have put them actually number 4 back then, but not these days. They're much higher, I would say. I'd have to work out the the places, but why I'm saying that is because I read an article where Lombardo was talking about that they pretty much schooled the rest of them how to actually do what they're doing. Like they really, if you look at Slayer's discography, they're probably the only one that didn't budge.
They did the least. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was something when we did the Slayer discography a while back on an episode, that was something that stood out to me, that, of all those thrash bands, Slayer stuck to their formula the longest, all the way up through Divine Intervention. They're still doing Slayer. By that point, Megadeth was kind of straying off the path some with Countdown and Euthanasia, not going, as far afield as Metallica was going. Anthrax, of course, had completely lost the theme by that point.
Yeah.
And even when Slayer went off the rails, with like, Diabolos and Musica and stuff, they kind of corrected course and went back to their core sound pretty rapidly. They didn't stay off in La La Land for a decade or more the way that Anthrax did. So I definitely get what you're saying. Of all those bands, Slayer definitely stayed closest to the thrash vibe. The band that kind of is closest to them isn't in the Big Four. It's Testament. Testament's the other one that really stayed true to the course most of the time. Demonic, maybe getting a little outside the box there, but I definitely know what you mean there. Excuse me.
Yeah, that's something I was talking to a friend of mine about. I said, if you want the perfect mix of a Testament album of new and old, I said, you go get a copy of The Gathering and you will have, that is just a killer album. Actually, Lombardo plays drums on that album too.
Yes, he does.
Not that makes it that much better, but it's just the best of the new versus the old. I'm hoping even the next Testament album that they, when these guys get stuck on these same producers album after album and same, kind of getting in a rut with that sameness, where you could take 4 albums, throw all the songs in a bingo ball and pull out 4 just samey albums again. And not that I'm not saying they're shit, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. They can start to become interchangeable. And, while I've liked, Testament's recent from the past 10 years or so, they're a little in danger of doing that if they're not careful. Testament can, fall into that kind of pattern where the songs, it's like, was this album from Brotherhood of the Snake, or was that song on Dark Roots of the Earth, or was it on, I don't know. It's a good song, but I can't tell you which album it's on sometimes. But though they've kept the quality up as well over the years. When a lot of bands, when some of those bands lost the plot, it would take them all to find it. Or they'd be, with Megadeth, they could be very inconsistent. They'd do some good albums, and then they'd, come up with, something, really strange, like, Super Collider out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's like, what happened? Wait, what? Why do you have a music video of like a guy trying to build a model rocket and some big fat guy is stepping on it?
No, it kind of reminded me of you asking that question on your Accept video about the the latest output of Accept, which I do enjoy, but they are in kind of in danger of falling into that samey. Because you don't own. Do you own any of the past 5?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I do
Well, I am gonna send you a couple of things very soon, and
thanks.
But they are they're kind of in that category of starting to sound samey. But sorry, we went on a little rabbit hole there.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah.
While you were sniffing lavender.
Yeah. Well, I kind of going back to your video today, Darcy. Yeah, Exodus kind of sometimes feels that way too. Like with more, because you were saying like, yeah, Exodus has kind of been losing your interest over time. I was like, yeah, I get that.
They lost mine real quick, and everybody's Bonded by Blood. It's a classic. I consider it a classic too, but I preferred the 2 that came after it more, which is usually a hot take for some people, but more technical. I like Sosa's vocals a little bit better too.
You're not going to hear what I'm going to tell you, but the 3 albums that they did with Dukes on vocals.
A lot of people say that.
Okay, good. I get the vocals are kind of that drill sergeant shouty stuff, but the music on those 3 albums, there's some killer stuff on there, and it's actually better than the past 2 albums, I think. But there's people that will disagree with me, but I went back and listened to those albums. There's some good shit on there.
I have not heard the latest Exodus album. I heard the last. I ended up buying the last one. I thought the last one was pretty good. Blood In, Blood Out. I think it was pretty good. I ended up getting a used copy of it. It's enjoyable.
Yeah,
the new one I haven't heard yet.
Oh, that's what I showed, by the way.
Oh, right on. Yeah.
Live Undead.
Ah, yep.
Yeah,
that's a great. The scream in that song. Oh my God. It's super long. It's great. That's a great song. That's probably my favorite on that album, actually.
Mine's Mandatory Suicide.
Yeah.
Darcy's gone into the serial killer kind of Halloween horror here for us.
Yeah.
Which makes perfect sense.
All right, Alan.
All right, I'm going to hit on a couple of unsung Halloween kind of characters. So we've been hitting all the classics pretty good. We've had our zombies, mummies, vampires, werewolves. Yep. We're doing the classics, but there's a few we haven't touched on yet. We haven't done a Phantom of the Opera yet, but I'm not going to do the Phantom of the Opera everybody would think of. We're going to go with this one. It's a 7-inch single by a British band called Target. And actually Target UK. They felt the need to put UK on the end of the name. And yeah, so a little single new wave of British heavy metal group. They've got, Lon Chaney's Phantom of the Opera character. Bad photocopy cut and paste kind of job there on the picture sleeve for it. Oddly enough, some copies of this come with a different picture sleeve where it's just black and it just has this logo, like right in the center, and they don't have the picture. I'm guessing the Chaney estate contacted the lads and said, naughty, and you're not allowed to use the image, as if they had any clue some small band from the new wave of British heavy metal had done this. I have no idea why there were 2 picture sleeves to it. But yeah, not a character that gets represented a whole lot. But Chaney, of course, was associated with a lot of the, really, again, the classic, Gothic characters like, the Hunchback of Notre Dame and the Phantom of the Opera. And then his son, who went with the stage name Lon Chaney Jr., of course, he was the iconic Wolfman in the Wolfman movie from 1941. And he did some other spooky characters as well. So kind of ran in the family there a little bit. As far as Target UK are concerned, only thing they recorded, to my knowledge, the songs on here are pretty decent and actually have fairly good sound quality for a small, this is a real small time, simple single. The thing that stands out about them is they're a little bit American sounding. And one of the tracks, let's see, the Alive and Kicking side has a little bit of like a Frankenstein, thing going on in the lyrics. So there's a little bit of a Halloween connection to that song. But the other side is called FBI. And the chorus kind of reframes like, I'm running from the FBI, which is kind of strange. It's like, you're a British band. Why are you running from the FBI? Shouldn't you be running from like Scotland Yard or something like that? So between that and the fact that they felt the need to put UK in the name, I've heard, writers and, people postulate over the years that, you know, the band was either very, very influenced by some American bands, or they, you know, had delusions of grandeur that they were going to maybe crack into the American market the way Def Leppard had managed to do. And that, you know, they were, because Def Leppard, Hello America, Target UK, FBI, you know, and a lot of British bands, you know, added the UK around that time, not just in metal, but, you know, you saw, you know, Mission UK, and there were a few others that did that same kind of thing. I think even Chameleons at one point had some things labeled as Chameleons UK as a way to, because there was a phase there where British bands did pretty well in the US market. And it was kind of an obvious way to say, we're British too. We're also pasty and eat bad tasting food. Sorry to all our British viewers. But you know, Target UK seemed to be maybe trying to play a few of those same cards, but they weren't a big enough act. They didn't really get anywhere. But it is a fun little single, and we needed at least one Phantom of the Opera representation, I felt, for our Halloween party to be rounded out.
That album cover, the guy looks like everybody's drunk uncle yelling at the football game on Thanksgiving.
Kind of does. Well, you know, at the time when that came out in 1925, Chaney was you know, really heralded as like one of the early innovators in horror makeup for his characters. He designed and kind of came up with the makeup ideas for a lot of those characters on his own. And yeah, he was like one of the first to really get, you know, super theatrical with some of those characters that were meant to be kind of misshapen, you know, a little deformed. Again, like, you know, the Hunchback character he portrayed also. So yeah, I mean, it kind of looks, you know, very goofy and silly by modern standards, but at the time, you know, it was very groundbreaking what he was doing with makeup on the big screen. Because even you're talking 1925, you're still in, like, you know, the silent movie era. I don't know if movies had sound by 1925 or not. Where's Cine Arcadia? If you're out there listening, now's the time to jump in the chat and let us know what's going on with that. Anyway.
Now, did you stump Aaron on that one too? If he's still around, I'd like to know that if he saw that one.
Oh, there's no way I got 2 heavy metal street cred points on the same night from the Metal Theologian.
And you know what? I was thinking there's a bit of a theme with the last time you guys did this Halloween thing. You were there. No, he didn't say. The last time you did the Halloween, you were doing a Canadian accent, and now tonight you're doing a British accent. You got them all.
He's trying to piss off everybody that watches this.
Oh, man, last year I was laughing because he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, eh?" And I was like, "Who the fuck talks like that? I don't."
What are you talking about?
Yeah, a boot.
Every American representation of Canadians says you talk that way. So if you're not, you're talking wrong, Darcy.
Well, you know what? I'm just gonna go and grab my maple syrup and my Tim Hortons donuts and
put your toque on.
My toque?
Your flannel toque. The flannel one, sir. Let's do this right.
Okay.
Yeah, see, Marty, my strategy here is, if I get enough people to unsubscribe, we never hit 5,000, and I never have to live stream myself listening to Halloween's Chameleon. It's my only way to avoid the horror and the shame.
Ryan knows if he's never watched the movie Strange Brew, you're missing.
Great. Classic. Take off, hose head.
Ian, I'll work on that one on a night when I'm not already coughing a lot. We'll try that one. Maybe when I need a topic to break out the Big Country collection for the Scottish accent.
All right, let's show some
great band. Hard one to work into heavy metallurgy sometimes, though.
Big Country. Oh, they were a great band.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
yes. Yeah. We'll do that tangent another night, though.
All right. Let's do some classic scary stuff, even though this isn't a very scary band. The artwork is Return to the Rectory by Reverend Bizarre. You've got I don't know if this is I don't exactly know what's going on here. Thought it was kind of like maybe a seance. You got it's kind of like feels like the witch a little bit, you know? So the classic Renaissance type painting with the scary devil goat thing going on. And of course the inside band photo is some drunk Finnish guy.
That's something Reverend Bizarre would do.
Yep. But anyway, I thought this had a good atmospheric vibe to the cover, and this band is silly. It's a silly doom band, but for some reason, I don't know why, I like them. You have to be really patient to listen to this stuff. It's slow, super corny lyrics sometimes. I don't know. It's good stuff. I know Alan doesn't care for them much, but and out of the
They're a tough
traditional
sell for
style
me.
of doom, I for some reason always kind of thought they were unique. You know, they take the silliness not in the way that, because like Cathedral, not a big fan. Dorian's goofy vocals kind of bug me a little bit. Some albums it work, some it don't, but yet I like Reverend Bizarre. So, I don't know. It's hard to say. Can't figure
The
it
heart
out.
wants what the heart wants.
That's right.
Unless the heart's being eaten by a mummy.
Exactly.
Could be. We still don't know.
Could be.
Or a zombie.
Is there really a difference? Oh, wait, we already did this bit.
We
Never
did
mind.
this bit. Yeah. All right, Mr. Darcy.
Or a zombie ritual.
Ooh, there you go. Classic. My favorite death album.
Not
100%.
not my favorite, but still a really great album, and
Mhm.
obviously a groundbreaking album. But
Mutilation.
I picked that one, Zombie Ritual, for tonight anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Theme it up, but yeah, you could pretty much close your eyes and point at any of these songs and they kind of would apply. So
Torn to Pieces, Beyond the Unholy Grave. Oh, so good. So good.
and the cover fits the theme anyways. So
Yep.
Very much so. Yep.
That
There
might
we
be
go.
the best replica cover. Wouldn't you say? It doesn't have the guy in the
Huh.
front.
yeah,
That might be the
It
best
would-
replica cover.
yeah, could be.
I would probably personally, if I'm thinking favorite, would probably be Peace Cells, but I like that one a lot. But this one would be way up there. It's in the conversation.
Yeah, Peace Cells is a classic.
Good stuff. Good pick. Got Evil Chuck's vocals. It just sounded like he was being ripped from his skin the way he screamed. It was so good. God, filthy and gross. Love it. Those songs are so catchy. And I like all the Death albums, but when you start needing a protractor to figure out what's going on, I prefer I prefer the simple, catchy, hard hitting, just brutal, without being redundant. Anyway, I'm rambling. Alan.
All right, let's stick with the new wave of British heavy metal for at least one more round here. I pulled this one out. It is the band Witchfind. So there's a witchy connection there.
Yeah.
Although the name Witchfind was always kind of a strange one. And even the band members have kind of admitted it's just something we came up with. It's not, it's not Witchfinder General. That's a whole, again, different bunch of guys who dug witches. Witchfind with the FYNDE. Just something they came up with that kind of sounded cool. Anyway, this is their second album called Stage Fright. Kind of a spooky cover there with the shadow of the gallows and stuff. And you even get a pentagram logo to
Very
add
cool.
to the occulty stuff. One of the funny things about this one is that, while it's a pentagram logo design for the band, the label they were on, Rondelet, if I remember right, really didn't have much of a metal presence. They had more of a foot in the punk world in the early 80s. But they did pick up a couple of new wave of British heavy metal bands. They had Witchfind, of course, and Gaskin were also on Rondelet. So they had a couple of decent bands out of on their stable. The track we'll pick from this one is pretty obvious for those who know the thing. We could do Wake Up Screaming, which is a really good song. We could do Moon Magic, which is also good. But if it's Halloween, you got to pick Trick or Treat, which is also one of the better songs on here. The catch with this album is I might have just named all the good songs on this album. It's not one of the stronger ones in their catalog, in my opinion. Some of these songs fall kind of flat. Witchfind, for a new wave of British heavy metal band, they still had one foot heavily anchored in like late 70s rock music. they hadn't completely moved out of that scene because they had been around since about 1975. And I think it was Frank, who was in the chat earlier, sent me some of their early recordings from the mid 70s. So yeah, they were part of that scene, at least on kind of a lower level. And by the time they're in the new wave of British heavy metal, they have some good, heavier metallic songs. But then you'll hit these 7-minute tracks that are very kind of laid back sounding, and it's just like that is something very different and not what we're looking for with this particular movement. After this album, they had some lineup changes. They got much more focused on the metal side of things, and they kind of ditched that 70s throwback style. But while this one's not going to be at the top of anybody's Witchfind list, I don't think. You still do get several good tracks, and Trick or Treat in particular fits the Halloween theme absolutely fine. So, Witchfind, while it's easy to write them off as kind of a second tier new wave of British heavy metal band, and I think that's probably fair, they did record 4 full albums during the main years. Not a lot of bands got a chance to put out that much material. Most of those bands, it was like a single and done, or one album and done. You get past your few big name bands like Venom and Iron Maiden, Raven, stuff like that. Bands on this next tier down did not get to make more than 1 or 2 albums most of the time. So kudos to Witchfind for hanging in there and getting 4 full LPs done before they had to disappear for a while.
What years were those? What was that range? Is that 80, 82, 81?
Let's see. The first one, Give 'Em Hell, came out in 80. That one is either 81 or 82. I want to say it's 81. Then let's see. Album number 3, Cloak and Dagger, was 83, and Lords of Sin was 84. So they were all right there in the prime kind of new wave of British heavy metal years. It's not like they drug out to 86 or 87 for any of those. So yeah, they cranked them out, and they weren't all on the same label, but Rondelet did the first 2. The 3rd album's on Expulsion, and the 4th album was on Mausoleum. So even though they had to relocate, they always they did find another label to pick them up, and that was usually the death of those bands. That you got on a label, you got your first slab of vinyl, it didn't do Pyromania levels of business, and the label dropped you, and those bands never got picked up again. But Witchfind, they always managed to find themselves another home. You see what I did there? All right, Marty, let's see what you're going to do next, because I have definitely had more than enough fun with Witchfind.
Why did I pull this one?
Pumpkins, Halloween.
Song Halloween.
Of course.
Classic album, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Pumpkin there too. I could say, oh, Pumpkin. I thought it'd been funny if I just grabbed the entire Halloween discography for this whole show. Like, look, a pumpkin, Halloween. But no, I figured I would have been thrown out hours ago. But yep, Halloween, obviously classic song by an absolutely classic album. Alan's favorite heavy metal record.
Yep.
Marty, have you ever heard
Halloween? Yeah.
No, Master Plan.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard which is Roland
Grappow, yeah. And
Pumpkins? Have you heard Pumpkins?
Bjorn Lunda. I have not heard Pumpkins. I have listened to it. It's all songs he wrote, isn't it? Mostly.
Yeah, with the vocalist. He's pretty good though. His name's Rick Altsey. He's also the vocalist for Herman Frank's solo band too. But yeah, not bad.
The first two Master Plan albums are really, really freaking awesome, to be honest. Was it the first one's just self-titled, and then second one's Aeros? What the hell's the second one called, Alan? Aerospace or
Aeronautics?
Aeronautics, yeah. Bjorn Lande on vocals. Holy crap, is he great? Bluesy crooner. Great albums.
That was a band that kind of shot themselves in the foot, because they had some momentum after those first 2 albums, and then Bjorn was out, and then he was back in, and it really cost them the hype had been building on that band, and then it just dissolved when they couldn't get the vocalist position to stay stable.
And it's too bad because exactly, Tip Fam, Jorn rules. His vocals are so good, and the songs on those first two albums were really good, really well written songs. You can kind of hear what he brought to Halloween during his tenure. I mean, he was a good songwriter. He just, I watched a newish interview with him lately, and it just kind of sounded like he's touring South America playing Halloween covers and doing this other crap. He shows up to places and a band forms around him out of local people. It's weird, man. It's weird. And I just watched a Vakken show that they played this year, and it's just like, you don't know who the hell's singing. There was maybe 300 people watching them in a field of mud. It's just like, God, what a squandered opportunity. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Doesn't sound that appealing to watch. So
no, but I mean, he's a great songwriter, and it's too bad because those first two Master Plan records were fantastic. Really, really good.
All right, I'm up.
You are up, sir. Well,
I got to throw something in there from Canada. So I'm not going for the album cover here. We'll go for the song, but I'm going to show you Exciter, Heavy Metal Maniac, and I am picking the song called Black Witch.
Oh, yeah.
Black Witch on side 2. Not my favorite track on here because that is Iron Dogs, but
that's a good one.
But yeah, classic Canadian speed metal. I definitely not thrash. This is the speed metal if you want. I mean, their first 3 albums are awesome, like Long Live the Loud and Violence and Force, and this. If you've never heard them, go check them out. Exciter and Black Witch.
Yeah. That's always one of the fun things with Exciter. You can't quite pin them down because they're not thrash. They're not quite speed. They're not quite power. They sit right there in between all those genres, and they do it so well.
And where are they touring? They're touring Australia right now. Where are they touring?
I think they just came through the U.S. Actually,
yeah. Where did I see? Oh, yeah. Yeah, they did. I think they are heading to Australia, though. That's pretty cool too. But that's what I'm from Canada, but I've never got to see them live ever.
I've seen Exciter in any capacity.
I know I haven't.
No, I thought you did, Marty. I thought you said you did. Last time we were talking.
Maybe. It wasn't with any vocalist anybody knows.
No. You know who it was? It was Sacrifice you saw.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've seen Sacrifice. Yep.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about.
Yeah. During the Soldiers of Misfortune era.
Yeah.
And they were the least heavy band on the bill. And they were the band I went to see. Morbid Angel was the headliner. Anyway. Helen.
All right. One more new wave of British heavy metal. And one more character we haven't touched on yet amongst our sort of, classic Victorian era spooky things. We need a Jekyll and Hyde reference, and we can get that from Clovenhoof on one of their later albums, A Sultan's Ransom. I always got an unusual kind of unique album cover for this one. And again,
that album cover doesn't scream "buy me," other than those Camel cigarettes to make me say "buy me." But for me, now the cover is like, well, what the hell is this?
It's kind of a strange cover. It's not bad, but yeah, it definitely is a little bit of a head scratcher. But anyway, it does include a track called Jekyll and Hyde about the famous story, of course. And a lot of Clovenhoof songs were like that. They were one of those bands that wrote very very story-oriented songs. And, some of them were, kind of horror influenced. A lot of them, though, were kind of fantasy influenced. They had several that were kind of outer space vibes. Let's see. This one in particular has like Astral Rider. You also have Highlander. Can't imagine what that's going to be about. Let's see. You've got Silver Surfer, 1,000 Nights. So 1,001 Nights. So I'm guessing that's what the cover was playing into, maybe the 1,001 Arabian Nights angle. Maybe they meant for that to be the single. If they thought they were getting a hit single off this album, oh, bless their hearts. It's a good album, don't get me wrong, but this style was very out of vogue This got no attention really upon release. Cloven Hoof were just one of those bands that kind of kept plugging along through the later part of the 80s. They were part of the early years. Their first EP, which Aaron, Metal Theologian, showed off on one of his videos recently. I believe that's an 82 release. So the fact that they were still putting out really good albums like Dominator and Sultan's Ransom, 6, 7, 8 years later, speaks to, quality stuff. Even their live album has some really good tracks on it, even though the sound quality is, it's live album quality. But anyway, Jekyll and Hyde, not one that gets quite as much love as the zombies and vampires of the world, but they needed a shout out on Halloween episode, and so we get at least one Jekyll and Hyde representation. I would have gone with the Jagdpanzer album with Jekyll and Hyde theme, but I don't have that one. It's one of the other ones I don't. So there we go. Cloven Hoof, a good band. If you haven't ever checked them out, give them a listen. They are still around and still doing some albums. I'm not familiar with the recent ones. I've only heard one of them, but I do like everything they did throughout the 80s.
Probably some lineup changes too there. A lot of those bands, they're running on one original member or
yeah.
Yeah,
I don't remember how many Cloven Hoof have left over, but I know like Desolation Angels has like one original member left. That most of the time they've had to recruit a lot of new blood to round things out. But sometimes it works. Not often, but sometimes it does.
All right. Well, Halloween is here, and metal needs a mascot, and mascots are look at Iron Maiden, Eddie the Ed. He's on all their t-shirts. You look at Eddie and you can just tell what he stands for. He's an iconic figure. So all bands, they strive for the mascot. They have to have that iconic figure. You've got Fang Face for Halloween there for a minute, and Gamma Ray, and there's just bunches and bunches of them. But none are more terrifying and more Halloween-esque than Riot. Look into the eyes of terror.
I'm
Halloween.
my pants.
Nothing looks more impending, imposing on a t-shirt than a fluffy baby seal-headed muscle dude. Anyway, that was kind of a joke one. But anyway. Darcy.
If you turned around on a dark night and you saw that thing behind you, you would scream like a girl and wet your pants.
I'd instantly want to club it and make shoes out of it.
That was actually part of the impetus for that character. I mean, it's funny, but in interviews with some of the guys, they have said, part of the idea for, the original cover on Rock City where it shows Tior like standing outside the city burning down.
Yeah.
Part of the idea for that was really like, what if like, nature kind of, rose up and took revenge on mankind for all the cruel shit we do. And it kind of led to the idea of, what if, like baby fursuit barbarians just, burn the whole fucking city down because, we club them to death. So there you go. You stumbled right into the secret origin.
It's called Johnny the Mighty Tior.
Yep.
Wow.
The Mighty Tior.
That is scary, man. I am still
best mascot ever.
I thought Alan would get a kick out of that
one. So anyways, you had mentioned Eddie and mascots. Well, here is a relative of Eddie and done by Derek Riggs, but this is Edson. That is actually his name on Bruce's what is this, his third solo album?
I think so.
Yeah.
Accident of Birth, but this is there's the mascot on there.
That's a really good one too. That was the one after,
and his name is truly Edson. If
Yeah.
you didn't know that, you know that now. So you're learning all kinds of shit on this show. But
Yep.
yeah, I'm just going with the cover on this one. I don't think there's many songs that would apply, but Adrian Smith is on here. It is a fine album. It's probably maybe the Iron Maiden album that you were kind of looking for in the 90s, or what it was, this 2000. I forget exactly.
90 something.
No, this is 97.
It's mid 90s, yeah.
97, and he had a couple of really cool solo albums in the 90s with actually there's two or three with Adrian on guitar, but this is Chemical Wedding.
Chemical Wedding's awesome.
That one's also good. Yep.
There you go, another mascot.
Yep. I'm glad you had the creepy clown from Halloween angle covered Darcy, because I had nothing for that.
Yeah, you got to have a creepy clown.
Got to have the creepy clown. Yep. The clown angle I was never scared of the clown, but I never really understood why the clown was supposed to work as a scary device. I was always a little confused. It's just like, I don't get it.
I was pretty young when I read it, so I read the book and formed those pictures in my head, and they never went away.
So all right.
What's up, Parker? All right, Alan.
All right, I will get out of the new wave of British heavy metal, and we'll go back to some vampires with some French power metal. Band called Heavenly, and this is their album Dust to Dust. If I'm remembering let's double check. I always want to call it
I've never seen you show.
I always want to call it Ashes to Ashes, but nope, it's Dust to Dust. Yeah, I don't have a physical copy of it, just MP3s. So sometimes I forget to look through those. But yeah, they did a few albums. The first one or two were okay. They were a little bit cookie cutter feeling. But around the time this one came out, they really started to kind of uptick the speed and intensity a bit. And, they were a bit more noteworthy by this point than the first one or two albums. It's the vampire story going on in it is a little bit leaning in the Anne Rice kind of vampire direction, which not my favorite take on vampires, but musically, it's quite good. I just don't have a physical copy anymore. It's one of those things that didn't play it enough and eventually traded it or sold it or something. But yeah, they've done some other solid albums around this time too. I think there's one called Virus that came after this. But yeah, it's basically an album about vampires and leaning a little bit into the woe is me, it's so hard to be undead for so long. But the music is really good. The music is not going into that kind of gothic, laissez-faire stuff. The music is really solid Euro power metal from the early 2000s. So yeah, if you need another album story about vampires, Heavenly's Dust to Dust is a pretty good one. Doesn't get talked much.
Yeah, I've never seen you show that one before.
Yeah,
I've got a new one for Marty too. Got points from Marty and Aaron tonight.
Yeah.
A rare treat.
Oh, you always get points from me. You show a lot of stuff I've never seen or heard before. So
it's all good. Right. And you're probably about to show something I haven't seen or heard before.
Well, this one's a Mr. Obvious pick. Zombie.
There it is. Folks have been asking for them.
People are saying I had to go grab it just for the fact that it's definitely a classic cover. What the hell's this guy's name? I can never remember.
Bartholomew.
No, the artist.
Oh, I thought you meant the zombie character on the front.
I don't know. I can't read it. Missed two. Yeah. I mean, there really isn't much to say about this. This is a band for me that I have tons of respect for, and really loved this record when it came out. This and The Bleeding were my two favorite Cannibal Corpse records. The rest of it's all really good. I'm rarely in the mood to ever listen to Cannibal Corpse. I just don't know what it is. People, I heard parts of the last one, which were okay. Heard parts of the new one, which are good. I don't know. Thoughts? Cannibal Corpse.
Well, I'm late to the Cannibal Corpse party, but and I really enjoy the George era better because, but I guess in my defense, I haven't really checked that stuff out yet. But from what people tell me, you have to have The Bleeding in your collection. That is a must-have. So I don't know where you stand on that one. You said you like it for sure.
What
one of your favorite? The Bleeding?
The Bleeding, yeah, for sure. It's probably my favorite one, actually.
Okay.
Really catchy. And, Tomb of the Mutilated is really good, too. Butchered at Birth, I think, is a little too... I think that one's a little overrated. A little too dimensionless for me. But, Yeah, first one's fun. Skull Full of Maggots, classic. Mangled, what a great song. Shredded. I mean, there's great songs on here. I don't know. It's one of those deals where Cannibal Corpse and bands like Suffocation too, for a while, it's not their fault that so many other bands started out and sounded like them. It's not the originator's fault, but it's like all these other bands that sounded like the main bands kind of gleaned some of the energy away from the originals, I think. For me anyway.
It does happen sometimes, yeah.
Same happened with At the Gates when Slaughter of the Soul came out. Classic record. So many bands popped up in that. And during that whole time, the whole Gothenburg and the Stockholm, melodic Swedish death metal thing, there's so much of it. Now it's cool again. It's like everything's cyclical.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Darcy.
Okay, I'm going to go with kind of a Halloween-y one for sure. Cover, title track, and Ozzy Osbourne, Bark at the Moon.
Nice one. Yeah.
Actually, this is my second favorite Ozzy album. I really, really like this album. I mean, it's still when Ozzy's albums were important, but yeah, nowadays I could live without some of the stuff. But yeah, title track, Bark at the Moon. But overall, you think back to the after Randy passed away, what are they going to do and who they're bringing in? But Jakey Lee was really, really awesome on this album.
Mm-hmm.
The Ultimate Sin was a bit more of not a departure, but the production was like very polished and not. This is, if you want some Jakey Lee era Ozzy, go for this one. But yeah, Bark at the Moon. I remember the video where I forget how long it took them to put Ozzy in this makeup, but it was like a shitload of time, like 6-8 hours or something like that. But yeah.
Wait, he's wearing makeup on that?
He looks actually better here than he does now. But yeah,
I was going to say,
I
just thought it was him in his natural environment.
It's funny that you showed that because it was 3 weeks ago. I was looking through my records. I'm like, oh, I haven't listened to an Ozzy record in a while, so I grabbed that one. I haven't spun this record in years and years and years, and it was a fun revisit. It was fun. The production of it's not the best, but it's a good record. There's some good songs on there. There's some not so good songs on there. I don't know. It's a good record. I enjoyed it. All right, Alan.
All right. This one I had not thought of originally, but hey, a good idea is a good idea. And Seagull's had a lot of good ideas in the chat tonight. So I went and pulled this off the shelf. It is the Devil Child album from 1985. So this right here is some budget level artwork. You got the creepy eyes under the lake bridge.
It's Jamie Lee Curtis's sister.
Is the is the floor on fire? Is she standing in a cave full of like stalagmites? I don't know. And who designs a staircase like where it just comes down into the middle of the room with like no, handrails on the sides? That's like an OSHA violation right there.
Yeah. You need handrails. Yeah, you
gotta have some handrails. Anyway, and this one has a few Halloween-y kind of spooky songs on it. You've got, pull up the track list here. It's easier than reading the weird font on the back. But yes, you have Devil Child. You have there's a witch song on here. Son of a Witch. Haha. Yep. You've got Grave Robber and Beyond the Grave. So definitely going for a spooky vibe. The deal with this album, it's interesting because this topic came up on an episode a while back when I think Aaron was on with us talking about a different topic. Yeah, and he mentioned that there were these kind of not spoof albums, but I forget the phrase that Aaron used. There were these kind of fake albums, I think was the phrase he used, that came out, fake bands. That's what it was. And some folks in the chat were a little confused, wasn't clear quite. Like, what do you mean fake band? Devil Child was never a real band. And actually, to explain
Kind of like
it,
Exorcist or
it's a little bit like Pile Driver and
Pile
stuff like
Driver.
that. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it turns out Metal Archives has a very good summary of what happened with this. Hey, sometimes you go to Metal Archives and they give, Saxon, albums, very strange ratings that make no sense. But sometimes they actually, very succinctly explain what happened to Devil Child. So here it is straight from the mothership. In 1984, Dutch East Records commissioned Jack Starr, formerly of Virgin Steel, to record 3 albums at a reduced cost, each recorded and mixed in 12 hours.
Holy shit.
For all 3 albums, the lineup was Jack Starr, Joe Hasselvander, of course, famous, for working with Pentagram, and Ned Maloney. Devil Child was the first one of the 3 to be completed. The Phantom Lord album was the second, and Joe Hasselvander's Lady Killer album was the third. So when Aaron was talking about fake bands, that's what he was referring to. None of these were really meant to be like, real full-time projects or anything. It was just like, here's a little bit of money. You guys throw together a record for us that looks kind of heavy or scary, and we'll put it out there and sell some copies, and we'll all make a little money. So yeah, Devil Child was one of those 3. That so yes, this is Jack Starr and Joe Hasselvander and some guy named Ned working the graveyard shift, turning these things out really fast and really cheap to make a quick buck for Dutch East Recordings. Yeah. So that said, some people don't like it at all because they think it's kind of a phony thing. But it's still kind of a fun listen. I can enjoy it. It's even on Pentagram Records, just to get you that. If you were on the fence and you're like, it looks a little scary, but is it really evil? It's on Pentagram Records. Shut up and take it.
I'll take it.
Yep.
Put it in the bag. Let's buy that. That's good enough to scare my parents with. So yeah, good call, Siegel. Devil Child. It's got I guess another kind of spooky horror trope is the evil child thing, and we had it with the Born Again cover art earlier tonight, and now we've got the Devil Child here too. I guess that's Rosemary. She's gone kind of goth since the 1960s movie, but and there's her baby, ready to do evil things to the world. The creepy kid movies never did much for me either. Creepy clowns and creepy kids, I'm just always like, huh? No. It's not my style of horror, but others enjoy it, and I can enjoy Devil Child at least.
Do you have the other ones? Do you have the other 2?
I've got Phantom Lord on MP3s. I don't have the album. I don't think I have that Hasselvander album at all. I see it from time to time, and it's always one of those, it goes in the cart, but then 2 or 3 other things end up in the cart that are more important to buy, and I'm like, I should be good and cap myself at this limit today, and so it always ends up back out of the cart.
So is there a lot of similarities, obviously, with those 3, or from what you've heard?
From what I remember, the Phantom Lord album is better than the Devil Child one. The Hasselvander one, can't really comment on that one.
Did they try to change styles in between? It seems like if you're writing that much material in a short period of time, there's going to be a lot of similarity between the 3.
At least between Phantom Lord and Devil Child, there's not a ton of differences. It's just that, the Phantom Lord material sounds a little more coherent. Yeah. Well, the Devil Child's kind of a fun listen. I'm not going to sit here and claim that, it's a lost classic. Some of those worked out. Like the Pile Driver debut album is actually pretty good.
Well,
it's a really
awesome.
fun listen.
It's awesome.
But it was another one of these total kind of scam things where a label paid a guy to just, I think their deal literally was like, if you'll make something that looks really fucking heavy and extreme looking, I can sell it. So here's, $1,000 and make me a record. And next thing you know, it was getting like album of the year votes from all these European magazines for Pile Driver.
Even the second one, Stay Ugly, wasn't bad. It wasn't as good as Metal Inquisition, but those are Canadian cult classics. Those things.
Yeah. The second one, they kind of had the problem because the first one did so well unexpectedly that they kind of had to follow it up. It's like, well, now I have to actually get some musicians and stuff. It can't just be me doing the whole thing this time. We kind of got to try to make this somewhat legit now. And of course, at that point, it kind of then lost steam.
Yeah, it was over after that. Yeah.
When people don't get your joke, sometimes it comes back on you and makes life a little more difficult than you expected.
Yeah. All right. I lied. I have one more Merciful Fate showing. We talked about this album earlier tonight.
Yeah,
I picked it for
that's right.
Witch's Dance.
Yeah.
And again, people kind of turn their nose up at this record. I don't get it.
No
I
way.
always thought it was a fantastic record. I mean, Nightmare Be Thy Name was the single, I think. Angel of Light, Witch's Dance. Mad Arab, I'm not a huge fan of that one. My Demon's great. Time's great. The Preacher's great. Lady in Black, Mirror, Afterlife, and I do not like Castillo della Morte. I just seems like a thrown together track. I'm not a big fan of the Spanish flair of it.
Yeah.
But other than that, this is a freaking great Merciful Fate
Oh,
record.
yeah.
I mean, does it have the vibe of the early stuff? No. That changed when they moved out of Europe. But great stuff.
Yeah. No, and actually the title track Time,
Great song.
The lyrics are as simple as hell, but man, it's creepy. It's really a great track. But
Yep.
Another, Lady in Black, awesome track.
Great song. Yep.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't know why that one gets overlooked, Son Marty. The only insight I can provide is it felt like the album kind of snuck out a little bit. Like everybody was really hyped up for, In the Shadows to come out, and it came out and people loved it. And when that album came out, I know at least like me and, my friends, we had no idea it even dropped until we saw it in a record store. It was kind of like, what's that? Is that a new Merciful Fate album? We saw it while we were out doing field work, in the middle of Colorado, and we're just like had an afternoon off. We were browsing in town. Like, I remember Matt picking up and showing me, like, "Do you know what this is?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah.
You're the Merciful Fate expert here, not me. What is it? He's like, "I don't know." He's like, "It's got a 19. It's from this year. I guess it's new." So,
and it's very unassuming cover. I mean, the logo's small and it's got like this, texture to it that it's hard to read. If you're just flipping through, you're not really paying attention. You're going to skip by it.
Yeah. I mean, maybe other folks were aware of it and, eagerly awaiting it, and we just completely missed the boat somehow. But it seemed to kind of just get dumped out there without a whole lot of fanfare, at least in our little corner of the metal universe. But very good album.
And then the very next year we got King Diamond, the Spider's Lullaby came out, in which again I gotta say, anybody that's not heard that album,
it's a great record.
It's a really good album.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna pick one more witch, and it is off.
Which?
One of Alan and I's very favorite albums of all time.
Ha ha ha.
It is called White Witch.
White Witch.
And you can just hear John singing that in your ear right now. I mean,
yes,
what a unique vocalist. But I had to throw one more Sabotage song in here. So White Witch, that is my choice. But classic band, classic album.
Yeah, doesn't get a whole lot better than Hall of the Mountain King.
No, it's great.
There are better albums, but the list is short.
Yeah. All right, Alan.
All right, I am getting close to the bottom of the stack, but folks have asked for this one earlier in the evening, and yep, it was coming. Got to do the Crimson Ghost and Misfits, metal adjacent, so it's fair game.
I've got some straight up non-metal shit coming too, by the way.
That's okay. Okay. And of course, they did tons of songs based on spooky characters and old spooky movies and stuff. But, they did Halloween was, one of their real anthems. When I saw them on their reunion tour in 96, it's the song they opened the show with. I saw them in Detroit at St. Andrews Hall. They, had the coffins propped up on stage, and, as the lights were going down, they all come busting through the coffins and immediately were just crushing it on Halloween. And that whole fucking place just went insane for like 15, 20 minutes. Right? They just played 8, 9, 10 songs nonstop. One after the other, didn't stop, didn't talk to the audience. And the whole fucking place just lost it. It was nuts. It was perfect. But Misfits made literally a career and pretty much, a marketing machine out of, the Crimson Ghost icon. It was for those who don't know, it was one of those serial movies from back in, the 1930s and 40s era, where you would go to the movies each weekend, and before the main movie, you would see about a 10, maybe 12-minute episode of a long running movie. And so each episode would end on some kind of cliffhanger. So the idea was to entice you to come back to the movie theater next week to see chapter 2. How will the hero escape, the clutches of the Crimson Ghost?
It's kind of a cool idea.
Yeah,
it was an awesome idea.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, it was a great marketing idea at the time. They were very popular back in the day. Most of them, those serials ran about 12 episodes. Some ran 10. Some of them would run a little bit longer. There were some that would get up around 16 episodes. So, if you had somebody hooked, on that story, you'd have them coming back, basically every weekend for about, 2 or 3 months to see each time how they'd get out of one, tight spot and move into the other. And they varied a lot. You had Western themed cowboy serials. You had a lot of sci-fi, supernatural type ones. You had some like older adventure character ones, like Nyoka, Queen of the Jungle is one that I saw as a kid. You had some of the comic book characters. There were Superman serials. There were Batman serials. It was just a normal part of the movie-going experience. If you grew up, especially even into the late 40s or early 50s, I think they were still doing them at theaters sometimes. And the Crimson Ghost was just one of the characters that, Glenn and Jerry latched onto and made it their icon. It first showed up on the Horror Business 7-inch single they did. And before you knew it, it was kind of plastered on everything associated with the band. Halloween's a great song. Halloween 2 is another one of their tracks. It's the one that's everything's in kind of, they claim it's in Latin. I've never bothered to check to see if it's real Latin or if it's just Glenn mumbling strange words that sound kind of like Latin. Wouldn't put it past them to have done something like that. But yeah, it's it cannot be Halloween without the Misfits. The opening lines, candy apples and razor blades, kind of tells you everything you need to know about Halloween in Detroit, which must have been a pretty miserable time for kids, if that's what you had to worry about. But yeah, one of my favorite bands, so had to give the Crimson Ghost a shout out. One of my dad's friends had the original 16 millimeter reel to reel print of the Crimson Ghost serial. So that's how I spent my my youth, was watching that kind of stuff in the basement of their house with bed sheets plastered up over the windows on a Saturday afternoon, and listening to the movie projector sit there and rotate, showing it on they had one of those little home movie screens you could unfold and stand up on a tripod, and we'd sit and watch that stuff for hours. So yeah, good times, good memories.
Alan, do you have any interest in seeing the reformed Misfits with Danzig, or not really?
I wouldn't be opposed to it. I've got no problem with it.
What I've heard doesn't sound bad. I mean, he kind of runs through some of the stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure.
He sounds good. I mean, it sounds all right.
I've got nothing against it. I haven't. They're not going to play anywhere within 500 miles of me.
No.
B, I'm not going to fly anywhere to see it. And I don't even want to know what the tickets are costing.
Oh my God.
Got to be just depressing. But no, hey, if they're, it's nice for them to go ahead, and whether they've buried the hatchet or whether they've just realized we're old and we can make a lot of money doing this, so let's all just shut up and play nice together. Either way, it gives folks a chance to see them one more time. So it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And unfortunately, if you're in one of, like you said, might even have to fly. And I mean, where I am, it is minimum 5 to 10 hours. I am 10 hours in my truck to Edmonton, Alberta, if I want to see somebody like Iron Maiden. I mean, it is a $1,200-$1,400 2-day event. Who the hell's going? I mean, if I lived there, yeah, I would go. But I mean, and who wants to sit in your vehicle for 20 hours, 10 there, 10 back?
Drive. I don't know. I just did that a couple weekends ago to go hang out with friends and see some cool scenery. But I do like a scenic drive. It's fun to go. It's fun to go and come back a different way. And I get it. But still, it is a dedication. You have to,
Yeah.
spend a day driving, basically a whole day driving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I mean, and it's something too. I mean, it's, once you get into our age bracket, that kind of thing's a lot harder to do, not just because of the physical wear and tear, but, Darcy, you got to, be away from the business there for multiple days to make something like that happen.
Yeah. And speak up, Sonny.
Yeah.
Our age.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got a few years on you, but I'm just, even the pure cost of these tickets. I mean,
it's ridiculous.
And just the actual structuring of the tickets. You can get the meet and greet, the front row seat. I mean, for $900, no thanks.
Yeah, it's insane. Even if they're playing, down the street, it's, still how many hundreds of dollars is it going to cost me?
Yeah.
Is it even staying in the hundreds of dollars? Am I having to add a comma to that number?
Exactly. Yeah.
I just don't get the whole my wife, she did the VIP thing, but it wasn't the meet the band one. It was get the packet of stuff for Duran Duran. But I watched recently Paul Stanley do a meet and greet in a full Star Child garb. He came in before a show or after the show, I don't know. And there's these guys that obviously have more money than brains. They're all like, "Hey, Paul, Paul," and he comes in, hello, comes in and walks up, and people start sliding shit in front of him. He just sits there, signs, goodbye, walks out, and I'm just like, you paid for that? You paid to have your stupid poster signed? And they're like talking to him like, "Oh, Paul, you're such a cool guy," and he's just kind of like smiling and signing, and they're just sliding shit in front of him. He signs it, he does it for 5 minutes and walks out of the room. I'm just like, wow, I wonder how much that little meet and greet cost. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, no, it's great. And they do it even for relatively smaller tier things. On the current, Venom Incorporated is currently on tour. Mantis isn't even on the tour. He had to stay home with his, because his wife was recently diagnosed with cancer. And even, some pretty small, stops on that thing. There's still like meet and greet tickets for like, the one that was down in this neck of the woods was over $100 to meet 3 non-original members of Venom.
I gotta say though, Tony Dolan, he's a super nice dude.
I'm nothing against him. He sounds great.
Briefly on Facebook. He's really nice, really generous, and just seeing a lot of his videos, he seems to really give a shit about the fans.
And I've seen
some
footage of him. I've seen some footage of him from their previous tour, and he looks great and sounds great on stage.
Great.
I'm not knocking him at all. I'm just like,
it's still.
If I was going to pay $100 to meet Venom, I'd like there to be at least one original member signing my poster.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if that not bashing the guys playing with him, but am I being unreasonable in that?
No.
Yeah. Again, we're not talking, Taylor Swift here or something. We're talking, Venom and, Venom Incorporated, excuse me. Don't want Kronos coming after me. Venom Incorporated in 2023. Do I need to pay over $100 to see him in a place that has a capacity of maybe 300? And now I want to pay 300
to talk to him.
Yeah. Because you show up like an hour early, and, you get some stuff signed, maybe if you're extremely lucky and it's a small thing like that, maybe you can, grab a quick selfie or something.
I don't even like having my shit wrote on. I mean, here's this record that's original pressing. Like, will you write all over this, please?
Yes. Now let me go stand here for the next 5 hours, clutching it against my chest, hoping nobody bumps into me and breaks it, or spills their beer all over it.
I'm with you, man. I don't want all my shit signed, anyways. I don't want writing all over it. I really just don't.
No. Or me spill beer all over it.
I'll take some kind of like nice poster or something, like a 8x10. Go ahead, sign that. I'll put it on the wall or whatever. But
maybe a picture of my kids standing with Paul Stanley would be cool. But you know what? Do I want look at a picture of my fat old ass standing next to a guy that's taken care of himself over the years, and they're like, look how fat and old I am, and the childhood thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't get the fascination with wanting to meet your idols, because you get, Paul Stanley, I know he appreciates his fans, but on the same token, he didn't give a shit about any of those dudes in there. Doesn't, and you can't when you're bigger that big to try to look everyone in the eye and give them the decency of it's too much for one person to do. It just is. And it's why put yourself in that situation and then, put a price on it. It's gross. It's gross to me. Anyway.
Yeah. At the same time, for those folks who decide to do that kind of thing and who can afford it,
go for it.
To you. Yeah, and that is something that's always, it's worth pointing out in these cases. To some people, that the extra $100 or $200 for that kind of thing, that's half an afternoon's work for some people. It's not a huge chunk of heavy metal fans, but I've talked to a couple. I know one or two fans tangentially. They're knocking down 10 grand a month at their job. They can fly to see whatever show they want to, and they can pay for the VIP ticket. And it's not even like they have to stop and think, can I afford that? It's just like, I'm not even going to notice the difference in my bank account by the end of the month. So for them, it's meant for those kind of folks. In other collectibles, I've never heard the term used for records, but for some other, collecting scenes, they're referred to as whales because they just kind of, slowly cruise through the ocean, absorbing everything in their path, and they don't even really notice this. It's no big deal to them. So it's like, yep, whatever it is, I'll ingest it and I'll consume it. And it's like, yeah, if you're in that, particular tax bracket, power to you and enjoy it. But yeah, it's beyond the means for a lot of folks to easily be able to do. But I get it is worth remembering that to some folks, it's not a big deal.
No, and again, what am I going to say to if I meet Paul Stanley? I've loved you ever since I was a kid. You think that's the first time he's ever heard that? Am I going to say anything to Paul Stanley that isn't going to sound stupid? Or I don't know. It just, why put yourself in a situation to fail? It's just, I don't know. Anyway, we got a little side. Go ahead. What were you gonna say, Darcy?
No, I was gonna say like some of these super fans. Like I watched this one kind of documentary with Metallica, and there's a guy like, oh, I followed you through 40 different countries and blah blah blah. I'm like, holy, that is pure. You're literally dedicating your life. I mean, and I don't know what type of finances these people have, and I imagine some are living on a shoestring budget who just are literally dedicating their life to Metallica or whatever band it happens to be. That's just not me, but I'd probably end up saying something stupid to Paul, like something dumb anyway. So and Gene Simmons, at this point, I couldn't give two shits if I ever met him. So.
Oh, and both of those guys. I mean, I respect them, and some of the stuff I hear them say, I agree with, but they're both just so out of touch and gross. There's not a whole lot that two elderly, very wealthy people have to contribute, and they've lived in an altered state of reality since the 70s, and that's great. They did the work. They did the time. They deserve the success, but they cannot relate to the everyman. They just can't. It's a world they haven't stepped in a very long time. And when things started getting tough for Kiss, they freaked. They don't know, oh geez, the stadiums aren't full anymore. They freaked out. What are you going to do? Like Iron Maiden, that happened to them, but they just forged on. They went from playing stadiums to theaters, during the X Factor and Virtual 11. But I don't know. Anyway, this is probably a whole another topic. That's another evening.
That's another show, but
the horrors of high ticket prices. Ooh. Yes. There, I'm segueing us back into the lane.
I got a couple more in the stack. I'm running a little lower, but so since 1986, I've always wanted to know what the hell is looking out this door. Their Metal Church, the Dark.
It's a Karen.
That's some.
There's the eyes right there.
I say this is kind of John Carpenter kind of spooky stuff here.
Yeah. This is kind of creepy, and definitely go with the song "The Dark."
Great
So-
album.
And you can just hear David Wayne with his vocals and something black and very fast. I love this album, and I've told this story many a time. I got to see them open for Metallica on the Master of Puppets tour, and I've been a fan of Metal Church ever since. To be honest with you,
What a great show that would have been.
yeah, it really was. It was it was an old arena, probably only held about, I don't know, maybe 8,000 to 9,000 people. It was awesome.
Great band.
The Dark.
All right, Ellen.
Good pick, Darcy. I would not have thought of that, but that's, what is there? All right, I want to stick to the Danzig Lane for at least one more outing. This album has always been kind of associated with fall and Halloween for me. It's Samhain 3, November Coming Fire.
I still haven't listened to any of those albums. I've never heard any of that Samhain or Samhain stuff.
This is the one I think you'd probably want to start with, Marty.
Okay.
If you wanted to check them out.
I've just recently been dipping my toe in the Misfits and saying I kind of like this stuff. When I was a kid, I didn't like it, but now I kind of do. Anyway, I'll check that out.
Yeah, the Samhain always has, a little bit more of, kind of, a gothic, weirdness to it than, Misfits, being hardcore punk, and Danzig, being a different thing. But yeah, this one, just even, the cover art, with the spooky skeleton mascots that they adopted, cool pictures on the back as well. And I probably just would go with well, let's see. Yeah, I'd go with the, is there a Halloween-y track on here necessarily? Let the Day Begin is my favorite track. You have their Samhain redoing Halloween 2 on here. Kiss of Steel is really good. But Human Pony Girl, very kind of odd track. But one that a lot of folks like a lot. But yeah. Just the vibe of the album always screams this time of the year.
Jeremy says I'd say Initium first.
Initium probably gives you a better feel for what Samhain's like. Now, I would agree on that point. I'm thinking that if we're going to ease Marty into Samhain from the heavy metal lane, this one is probably the most metal thing Samhain did, so it might be an easier transition. But Initium would definitely give you a better feel for this is the kind of core Samhain experience. And this is one, before anybody yells at me, I'm guessing it's, if I remember right, the pronunciation is supposed to be Samhain.
Samhain, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, but I never remember.
That's a traditional old school way to say it.
Old school Celtic-y thing, yeah. Which I know sometimes I'm a stickler about band pronunciation. Samhain's one that I've never been. That's not a hill I'm going to die on, so I'll just stick to Samhain for that one, and folks can point out, folks can throw it up in my face the next time I say, Kirith Ungle and stuff like that. But Marty, I'll pass it over to you. Let's see, I might have one more laying around here, but I'm about at the end of the stack.
All right. For the last Halloween vibe, I don't know if it's Halloween per se, but just creepy, evil vibe. Again, Blood Ritual. I show this a lot on here because this album by Samael. My brain is broken. Yep, there doesn't get more creepy and atmospheric and evil than the second Samael album, Blood Ritual. Of course, Ceremony of Opposites that comes out after it is a fantastic album as well. But yep, if you want to buy a pseudo Black Death Doom type mix album that feels like you're an actual ritual sacrifice type thing, this is a very creepy, good album. Has the vibe proper for Halloween.
Absolutely. Agree on all points.
Darcy.
Well, what can we... I got a couple left. Let's go with... Actually, I'm going to go with a... kind of like that Born Again cover. This one always... didn't irritate or didn't creep me out as much as the Born Again cover, but this one always kind of did. But I love it for the album because it is the best Exodus album ever.
It's good. I never go back to it. I don't know why.
And I just love this album, but this cover has always creeped the shit out of me.
It
Just-
is kind of a weird one, yeah.
Well, and it's the skin ripping here. It really, I don't know.
Mhm.
It's just like, oh God, really? But I've always thought that, but man, I love this album. This is yeah, no need to I can give away my Exodus ranking because this is the number one. You can watch and figure out the rest after that, but yeah, this is killer. But yeah, no, show this one just for the cover. I always love the Exodus logo and Bailoff on vocals. And all-time favorite song on this album is Metal Command. Love that song, but yeah, there it is.
Nice.
A fair pick. It's grown on me a lot over the years. I wasn't that keen on it when I first heard it, and part of the problem was I heard it late. Like I didn't hear that one until 91, 92.
Yeah.
And I'd already heard some of the other Exodus albums by that point, so I was kind of more used to that. And by 92, everybody was paying attention to death metal. Thrash metal felt a little dated. So yeah, I think that was part of the problem too, was just the timing I first heard it. But it's definitely grown on me with time.
It actually wasn't even the first Exodus album I heard. The first song I ever heard, which I mentioned on my last video, was Chemikill off of Pleasures. And then Fabulous Disaster came out. And then I finally backtracked to Bonded by Blood. But for some reason, that cover at the time creeped me out and I didn't buy it. So I finally, I grew a pair of balls and I said, well, I'm going to buy this thing. And I love it. It's just a great album. But yeah, I'm kind of partial to that first 3 Exodus albums. They're pretty special stuff. But we are also, the thing that always blows me away too, and I'm sure you guys think about this, but back in the day, in the 80s, even mid 70s to probably around 90, one album per year. It was just, or you take a band like Marty Loves Kiss, and Kiss would put out 2 albums in 1 year, and
because the sales sucked and to keep them on the road, they had to. And
I realize that some of those albums are 27 minutes long or 32 minutes long. I get all that, but just still that whole mystique of even like Testament, pumping out 87, 88, 89, 90, it was a special time. I guess I'm trying to say, but yeah, often think about those days for sure.
I really miss the days where records were, not horrendously long. I mean, as soon as the CD era hit, bands started writing records for CDs. They start pushing, and no album needs to be that long. I mean, a lot of bands get away with it. It's fine, but people's attention span right around the 30 to 43 minute is perfect. Really,
Yeah, it is for me. I mean, that 38 to 42 minutes.
Yeah,
that's
perfect.
But you know what Steve Harris said a few years back, because people ask him, when are you going to write a nice shorter album like Killers or something like that? And he said there's a better chance of them writing a 45-minute song than there is a 45-minute album. Get that.
They need, judging by the last album, a little bit of cutting some of to the cut room floor would have been a wise choice.
These bands,
they don't.
They're all in that same boat where any given album could be their last. I mean, it takes one. It not being morbid or anything about it. I mean, will it surprise any of us if we wake up tomorrow and we see a headline saying that a member of Iron Maiden or Judas Priest or someone like that has passed away? No, it just wouldn't. They're at that age range where that kind of thing could happen out of the blue. I think they feel a real need to get it all out there. That if there's no point in saving anything for the next album, because they're in the back of their mind, they kind of know there may not be a next album. There may not be a next time. So if we've recorded it, by golly, we're going to put it out there, because The clock is ticking. So
Yeah, I just
I
read
kind of
today-
get that, but now at the same time, does that end up making for the best possible album they could be putting out? No, I don't think it does. I agree with Marty. The albums would be better with some editing, but I can kind of see, from the band's perspective, why some of them are kind of insisting on just, not scrapping anything that they put down in the studio. That it could be their kind of last testament.
No, I read today that Stephen Riley passed away, drummer from Wasp and LA Gun, 67 years old.
Wow.
That's right. I saw someone had that in the chat earlier. And the name, I couldn't place the name at the time, but yeah.
But like Marty touched on, obviously Paul and Gene, they probably have the best diet, things like that. They get pampered. They have looked after themselves over the years. And,
Yeah, Gene has never been drunk. He says
You know-
he doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, never did drugs.
and even look at a guy like Rob Halford has been clean and sober for 25 years, I think. No, maybe even longer.
I think longer than that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you got guys like fucking Lemmy who just basically dies on stage, and
He almost did.
that last show was it was a tough to watch, man. It
was sad.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta say, I've been watching some Fast Eddie, Filthy era Motorhead concerts on YouTube lately. That band was just on fire during that time. That was for me the ultimate Motorhead lineup. I love Mickey D, great drummer, but Phil Campbell, great guitar player, but man, Fast Eddie and Filthy and Lemmy, the power trio, classic lineup, so good. They were so good live.
Yeah,
just
loud as hell.
Rip them apart. It's so good. Anyway, again, where are we at here? I think it's yours, Alan.
I think you're right. Okay. Here we go.
This is true, Zach. There are more drugs and food than there is just food anymore. It's true.
Yeah, well said. Let's see. One character we don't think we've had tonight is the Axeman, the Executioner, the Hooded Menace. So let's fix that. Hallows Eve,
right?
Tales of Terror. So
great album.
Can't get much more Halloweeny than that. And yes, great album, great band. And the song, of course, from this would be Hallows Eve, including Routine, which always had to be part of the song title for this one for some reason.
Let me you terror.
Yeah, but
like you
just pulling up here, they always have the song title written, this way. It's not just called Hallows Eve. The song is called Hallows Eve including Routine.
Yep.
There is this kind of it's a longer song, kind of epic tale, and there's this kind of funny part towards the end where it speeds up and goes slightly faster and faster and faster. I'm guessing that's the Routine. I'm not sure. It was just always one of those quirky little things. I never quite knew why they had those extra 2 words at the end of the song title. But it's almost got to be Hallows Eve's best album. And I like the other 2 albums.
I like
too.
Death and Insanity a lot too.
Death and Insanity is good. The songs can be a little samey. The album has more like one speed to it. And Monument I like, but it does have its problems.
It's got some problems.
Yeah. But this one's just got, it's one of those, it's a very short, straight to the point album, but you got Plunging to Megadeth. You've got Horror Show. Oh, could have picked Horror Show.
Mm-hmm.
Valley of the Dolls, Metal Merchants.
Mm-hmm.
Just a very fun album.
Metal Merchants, there ain't no fucking stars.
Was it Stacey Anderson? Is that the one?
Yep.
Yeah, I always liked his voice. I always thought he had a really good metal voice.
No one sounded like him.
Not quite. And Hallows Eve kind of fit there too, where they were another one of those bands that they weren't. There was a little thrashy, but you wouldn't call them thrash. They're
kind of in the same era as like Omen and bands like that. They kind of defy the obvious genres.
Yeah, maybe a little slightly heavier than the Omen or Liege Lord, but if they're not in the same zip code, they're like just 1 block over from that zip code.
Yeah,
but a cool band. Another one that kind of got lost in the shuffle there of the late 1980s, but got to have some tales of terror when it's Halloween season. All right, Marty, what you got left in the tank?
I can just power through the remainder of these. Well, obviously I don't have the actual element came on, but Bela Lugosi's Dead by Bauhaus.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely a goth classic. Singing about Bela Lugosi, who was the actor who played Dracula in the old days, the old black and white scary movies.
Yep.
Peter Murphy, fantastic singer, and Bela Lugosi's Dead is an amazing song. Band discovered by David Bowie on the set of the Hunger movie.
Yeah, Bela Lugosi, very sad story too. He died essentially broke and penniless in Hollywood. He was begging for work by the end of his life.
Wow.
Yep. I don't know why. I don't know where things went wrong, but yeah, he died with pretty much nothing. Because I mean, he was in he has a bit part in Plan 9 from Outer Space. He was working in Ed Wood movies, for God's sake, just to make a few bucks by the end of his career.
Another one, non-metal. Ministry off the 12-inch singles. Of course, Every Day is Halloween. Doesn't have much to do with Halloween. It's just I thought of it when we started pulling it. I love this early Ministry. I'm not a big fan of With Sympathy, but the singles around that era are good. Really like Twitch. Then from there on, Ministry is Ministry, but good stuff. That Every Day is Halloween. It's a fun song. Check it out. Bop, 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 bop. Catchy, electronic, fun. I picked Wizard's Crown just because you got a little bit of Halloween call out in that song.
Well, the song was originally called Halloween on their demo, and they changed the title of the song, but didn't really change the lyrics. So Yep. I almost picked that tonight, but I left it out.
I had it here on the back burner in case you were going to pick it and you didn't. I don't know why I picked this one, but I heard the song today and it kicked my ass. Azrael off of this album. God, what a song. Azrael is a great song.
Yes.
This album is so good. So good. Overlooked, ripping ass metal band. And lastly,
everybody wants to talk Transcendence, which is a fine album.
Great album, yeah.
But it's like they forget that one exists, and that ain't no chopped liver right there.
No. And the last of the picks, and completely as far away from metal as you can get. We've got Susie and the Banshees Juju album. With the song Halloween lyrics.
Forgot about that one.
The night is still, and the frost it bites my face. I wear my silence like a mask and murmur like a ghost. Trick or treat, treat the bitter and the sweet. I wander through your sadness, gazing at you with scorpion eyes. Halloween, Halloween. I love Susie. I love this era. It's just kind of noisy, post-punk, but starting to form into something a little more commercial with each album. But there was an era here, this and Hyena, and it's just jangly, kind of noisy, alternative post-punk. I don't know. I really, really dig this stuff. And last one of hers I really got into was Tinderbox. That was my last favorite. But
Tinderbox is good. I think
very commercial, but very good album. It's a great, it's a really good album. Darcy, did you have another one?
Yeah, I got two more to wrap things up.
Right.
Alan had said that who's the singer of Hallows Eve? What's his name?
Stacey Anderson.
Yeah.
Okay, so and no one sounds like him. No one sounds like this guy, and his name is also similar, Stace. But we're talking the creepy ass cover of Evil Invaders, so dangerous looking, this cyborg, whatever it is. But this is another Canadian classic, Evil Invaders, and I'm just gonna go with the theme evil here and the title track. But there's so many great songs on this album: Cross Me Fool, Evil Invaders, Iron Hammer, Cutthroat, Speed Merchants, Thrash Dance.
Good stuff.
Look at Look at that Canadian mustache right over here. Look at that one.
See, that is not a European stash. That
No,
is
that's
clearly a New World stash.
Well, it's filled in. It's a little more filled. It's not as spotty.
Eastern.
exactly.
That's kind of an Eastern Canadian stash. That's it's got that Eastern Canada feel there, but
It's colder out, so the body
Evil
produces more hair on your face. Yeah.
and this is actually inspired by Ellen's last video. I got my copy of Accept War Games. I mean Russian Roulette, and the song
Curse You, Gravedigger.
and the song Monster Man. So I thought I'd throw a little monster in there, and yeah, no, it was cool that you pointed out that title change, and that really the title track Russian Roulette, there is no words mentioned Russian Roulette.
Yep.
Other than War Games, Killed in Action, all that stuff, and
Yep.
yeah, it's pretty cool, and that's yeah, I'm a huge fan of this band, and that's pretty much the first time Stefan, the drummer, he cut his hair all off, and Wolf is over here. Peter is now in the band UDO. He's back together with Udo Dirksnyder in the band UDO, and George Fisher. But yeah, great album. If you and check out Alan's Accept video, it is awesome. 44 minutes of
I need to watch it. Like I said, I just watched Razor Fist's whole retrospective on Accept, and you know, it was kind of cool watching that because I didn't realize that Wolf Hoffman's wife wrote a lot of their lyrics, and it makes a lot of lyrics on Balls to the Wall make more sense because it's actually coming from a woman's perspective. With Udo singing it, they were kind of seen in the press back in the day as gay and all this other stuff. And it's, you know, a woman was writing their lyrics. I didn't know that. I thought that was an interesting little factoid that came out of it.
And she is no dummy either. She pretty much got Udo to sign a document that where Wolf kept the name of the band. If it was the other way around, Udo Dirksnyder would have the name of that band, and Wolf would be called whatever, right? Wolf Hoffman. And
yeah,
it's too bad that those two guys will probably never get along. But
well, they did a lot of back and forth. I mean, he came back and Udo did like a 3-album run during when they rebooted, didn't they? Didn't he 3 or 4 album run?
3, and that was 93 to 96, and by 96 the wheels were coming off. I mean, Predator is an absolutely shitty album. It's terrible. It's not a good album, but no, I don't think Udo and Wolf will be ever back together, and Peter left Accept 4 years ago now, so what was I going to tell you? Stefan Kaufman has always been friends with Udo. He does production for them. He does. He's been in the band UDO for 8 albums or so. But yeah, if you ever need a UDO album covered on your channel, just give me a call.
We could have had you do the new one that we had a promo for it.
Yeah, I did actually a double review with that and Primal Fear.
Primal Fear, yep.
Which you did a killer job on your Primal Fear too. So
that was a good record. I'll eventually get it. I was surprised how much I enjoyed it. Really well written.
You don't have to get it. I got it for you. So
woo-hoo! It's like I'm on the island.
Yeah, no, bro. Remember I told you about I got you this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got this at the used shop for $10, and then I picked up a copy of the new one for you.
Thanks. Cool.
So that's in the Marty pile. Don't worry.
Yay! Right on. Alan, do you have any more?
I got one last one. Some folks were talking about this one in the chat earlier. I was like, I didn't pull that one tonight because I have shown it a few times before. But sometimes you got to give the people what they want, and it's a good one to close a Halloween episode with. It is Detroit's heavy metal horror show.
I was going to pull it, but I don't own it. I've seen them. I saw them live once in Kalamazoo.
Yeah, they still kick around every now and then and do some shows. But yeah, this is their first album from back around 85. And it's exactly what it looks like. You know, they went for...
They were good.
Some of the theatrics and stuff. Yep. lots of spooky themed songs. They have a Trick or Treat song, Scared to Death. I think Tales from the Crypt is my favorite one. It's got a really cool chorus to it. Really gets stuck in your brain quite easy. Yeah, there's skulls on the back cover and everything. Is it the greatest album ever recorded? No, it's got its shortcomings. It's one of those that falls under the category, though, of a very fun album to listen to.
Working man's hard rock record from Michigan.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, you're not supposed to compare this to Rain and Blood or Eaten Back to Life. It's just it's a fun heavy metal album with a Halloween theme to it. The band has done other albums over the years. I used to have one other one, and I don't even remember which one it was. It didn't leave much of an impression, to be honest. They made a 7-inch single that came out with this too, which the album is one of those that doesn't show up a lot, but the single is really hard to find. But it just has 2 tracks from the album. It doesn't have a picture sleeve or anything, so you're not getting anything unique or special with the single. So I never tracked it down because I never felt like it was quite worth the time and money it was going to cost to get it. But yeah, a fun album. Fans of Ken's Death Metal Crypt, Ken always breaks this one out from time to time also to mention for good Halloween themed metal stuff. So another one that Ken and I both enjoy quite a bit. So my last one for the season. And Marty, what you want to show to wrap us up with?
I just want to Brendan Von Doom's calling us out on an obvious oversight. You would think with a band name like October 31, we would have pulled one of us would have pulled one of their albums, but we showed Deceased, so by proxy we're okay. But
I was going to pull the latest October 30. I looked right at it and was just like, my pile's getting kind of big. Maybe I'll have to skip that one tonight. But yeah, shame on me for doing so. If folks haven't heard it, the October 31st Metal Massacre compilation Salute is a really fun compilation. They basically are doing songs from throughout all the different volumes of Metal Massacre that came out, and as usual King and company do some really fun cover versions on it. So Brendan, apologies for not pulling it tonight, but I'll give it a quick shout out, so if folks haven't checked it out, they can go do so.
And also, no Randy Cabbage monster tonight. That was a fail.
I can't bring Randy out every week. You got to save it for the really special occasions. And he's not really a Halloween monster. He's more like a alien thing. Cabbage. When we do heavy metal vegetable night, we do like vegan themed episode. It'll be all about the Randy.
Right on. Well, I guess that's it.
Yeah.
There we are. Darcy, thank you so much for joining us for our Halloween episode.
Always
have a better guest.
Always fun, you guys. Always fun.
Always good to have you on, man. Always. And everybody go check out Darcy 6 Strings Design Lives. I'm sure if you subscribe to this, you're subscribed to him as well. If not, you should be. Great videos. Awesome collection. Great insight to the music he shows. And that's a welcomed addition for sure, because a lot of people just show records without listening to them.
I put you on the spot, so don't put me on the spot, okay?
All right.
Go get the Glorious Dead album right fucking now. Let's go.
Right on. They're rotting in my garage right now as we speak, so here for you if you want them. But yep, go check out Let's Talk Metal, of course. Every Tuesday he's got a new video up. I have to be caught up and watch the Accept video.
For sure, yeah.
You'll be seeing more of Alan on Monday. He's got a Wayfarer review that's going to be up on Heavy Metallurgy, so check that out.
Yep, bunch of good stuff coming out this time of year, so keep up with the reviews. Got just a ton of interesting releases right here in late October heading into November. So
I have not been looking at any of the stuff. I've just either been sick or working. So
yep. We'll cover as many of them as we can.
Hope you feel better, Marty. I hope you get some rest.
Getting there. Been trying to focus on sleep when I can, and lately it's been last few nights I've gotten some pretty good sleep, so that's good.
Good to hear.
Good deal. Yeah, and thank you to everybody in the chat for hanging out. Thanks to all the new folks who hung out for a while. It's nice to see a lot of new faces, and of course, lots
Absolutely.
of old familiar ones as well. And also somebody named Melanie, who may or may not have insulted both Simon and I earlier today in a video on her very awesome channel. Melanie Loves Death Metal. We're just having some fun with Melanie. She said in her videos, like, yes, I'm setting myself up for some problems by doing this, but yeah. It's a fun Q&A video with her. Go check it out. And
Exactly.
yeah, everybody have a
one
happy
thing
Halloween.
before we
Make
jump.
sure to check your candy before you eat it Tuesday night, because you
I
never know.
think tomorrow night, Jeff over at Gas Mask and Hand Grenades is having some big Halloween thing.
Oh, awesome. I haven't seen that.
I don't know if it's tomorrow night. I think it is tomorrow night, but yeah, that'll probably be the normal 9 to 10-ish type of time zone. I don't know the details. I heard him talking about him and Dennis. They're going to have some big doing. So go check it out. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Alan. You were signing us off.
Oh, I was just trying to remember other show notes. Next Wednesday night, Marty will be back with and Kellen returns for to the crew to listen to Auroch, a band I know nothing about.
Neither.
But,
Never heard of them.
Interesting to see everybody's take on that one. And we're talking to a couple of folks. Again, a lot of our calendar for Heavy Metallurgy is filling up pretty quick, but we're waiting to hear from a couple of folks to fill in the last few slots. Jurgen, this means you. Call me.
Boy, yeah. Get on there, Jurgen.
So yes, we're still working out next week's guest, but we'll be here same bat time, same bat channel, with some more fun heavy metal to entertain folks with.
All right.
And hopefully Marty will feel much better by then.
Right on. Y'all rule. Cheers. And thanks for the well
again
wishes.
for having me, you guys. Thank you.
You're welcome anytime, Darcy. It's always a good time, always a good chat for sure. Don't hang up. But we are going to hang up right here. Cheers, everyone. We will see you next week. Thanks for joining us. Happy Halloween.